is a road, midnight phone cam, shaky. Lights move sharp, left, right, like crazy. Call the tower, they say nothing on the scope, but the radar glitch look exactly like hope.
Truth beyond disclosure, take the journey into the unknown. Hands up higher, feel that pull, we're never going home. Every little secret, every file they've ever owned. Truth beyond disclosure, take the journey into the unknown.
Truth beyond.
Truth beyond disclosure, take the journey into the unknown. Female voice cut in, I was out by the pier, saw a silver disc drop and it vanished from here. Neighbors all swear it was just some flare, but the dog went wild, every hair in the air. Headlights off, black vans on the corner, men in clean suits, fake smiles, giving orders. Nothing to discuss, it was weather understand, but the tape in the safe says a whole other plan. Truth beyond disclosure, take the journey into the unknown. Hands up high and feel that pull, we're never going home. Every little secret, every file they've ever owned. Truth beyond disclosure, take the journey into the unknown.
Why they black out the frame when the craft appear? Why they edit every tape, every trace, every tear? Crew in the booth, we connect each dot. Coley on the mic, hit record, run it hot.
Male and female, back-to-back tag team flow. From the fields, from the ships, from the old windows. Abduction marks, bright scars they can't explain. Same dream, same face, same luminous name. Whistleblower drop codes in the chat at night. Coordinate states, what they keep out of sight. SNX dialed in, we decode each line. Turn the volume to the truth, let it cut through the lies. Truth beyond disclosure, take the journey into the unknown.
All right, and hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of SNX Radio. I'm Coley, also known as ColeyUFO. I just want to make sure that I have this background music off. But yeah, it's super excited about today's show. Super excited. I haven't gotten to, usually I get to chat, but I ran into a few snags that I fixed all by myself. So anyway, I just wanted to say real quick, a huge shout out to everybody who's here. Well, and Blazer too. Blazer is our producer now, and he's doing a fantastic job. So huge shout out to Blazer on that for picking. It's been absolutely amazing getting us into shape over here. Larry, it's nice to see you. Nice to see you. Area 51. Nice to see you. And thank you. I don't know if you were here the other night, but I was super thankful for your super chat. So I appreciate that. Oh, Chiros. See, I knew I was spelling, or Gerald told me I'm pronouncing it wrong. So if it's Chero or something, or you've been so kind. That is, I appreciate it. So let's see who else. Oh, and then we have Gerald and Jane, and their boy Blazer. So Reverend, welcome back. Nice to see you. Diane. Oh, hey, Diane. It's nice to see you. Diane's always like amazing. She's just like the stuff she says, just so lifting. Thank you, Diane, for that. William Nighthawk, it's good to see you. Steven, welcome. Hey, JT, Truth Seeker is in the house. Nice to see you. And then Magneticus is here. Nice to see you. So if I missed anybody, I do apologize. PNW Rush. Hey, and I'll be emailing you soon about coming on. Anyway, today we have a special guest, and his name is Phil Graham. I'll give you just briefly, because I'm going to have him do his own introduction. He is very powerful. I just want to say I really appreciate all he has done he was an executive producer on Playing God, and that does not make you friends. Okay, he did a lot to expose some things that were going on behind the scenes, and it really, honestly, like I said, I have all the respect in the world. Please have all the respect for him today. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring him up here, Phil, and then Phil, I'll let you take it away. No backstage, and I didn't do it justice, but I just wanted to lay that out there and let them know. So, please feel free to tell them who you are, what you did or do, what you do, and why you do it.
Sure. Hi. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, welcome.
I'm Phil, and I've had a whole range of experiences and endeavors in my life. One of those would be Playing God, making a documentary about medical democide with producer Jackie Devoy and Ash and Naeem Mahmood, award-winning documentary makers. And it exposed medical democide and all of the atrocities that occur in the medical system. More importantly, it was focusing on medical democide, basically how medical organizations were exterminating people, for lack of a better term. I woke up in 2008. I went on my journey, and after COVID, I made that documentary, like I said, with Jackie and the Mahmood brothers. And then before that, in 2012, I have had close encounters with interdimensional beings, for lack of a better term. Stood face to face with them, with somebody else present at the time as well. It's more credible if two people are there. And I guess that's me in a nutshell.
So I just have to tell you, you have so much respect for me and my audience too. I haven't been quiet about the repercussions that I've had for fighting the system, and it's been nothing for the sacrifices of Phil. But Phil has an amazing, you've done an amazing job. Like I said, you have all the respect in the world, but we don't want to make this harder on him in that area. So I don't want to, we don't have to stay there or stay focused on there. But if you're, I guess, do you see and this will be like the pivotal question, we can kind of walk away from it, but do you see any similarities like in organizations like where ET or some of our experiences may have been kind of, or why we are, there's secrets being held from us? So like, what is the deal with the secrecy still in this? And why does the government, hold that power and control? How do you see all of this?
Yeah, so in regards to the UFO disclosure, I believe if it was disclosed overnight, it would send a lot of people crazy. I think the economy could potentially collapse. So looking at that one area, I think that's why we're slowly getting drip-fed disclosure in that arena. But of course, I don't see why there would be any medical organization that would want to disclose the fact that they're exterminating people. That's deception. That's being hidden. And it's systematic in its approach.
Yes.
In England here, we've got a government body called Public Health England. And that's where all of the medical protocols that we've got a health system here called the NHS. It's a public health system. We don't have to pay for our healthcare. There's a reason for that, I would imagine.
Yep.
And basically, all of the protocols that the NHS follow come from Public Health England. These people aren't doctors, they're government ministers. Mm-hmm. And it's a hard situation in the medical world here because most care-based professionals, doctors, nurses, they swear something called the Hippocratic Oath, where they all take an oath to do no harm, adopt care-based medicine, which is looking what the patient needs and treat them accordingly. And then obviously right at the last part of that that oath that they take, it says something along the lines of "Thou shalt not play God," which is where the inspiration for the name of the documentary came. It truly is horrifying, some of the stories told in that documentary, and it dates back to the 70s. Although it was a big theme during COVID, medical democide. It has actually been dating back goes back further than we all think.
Yeah, you guys didn't go back like 50 years, if I remember correctly, or something.
Yeah, all kinds of cases. Yeah, absolutely, all kinds of different cases, all different types of scenarios. People being guinea pigs, having drugs tested on them. Children passing away, and their body parts ending up in different buildings.
Oh, God.
Just awful stuff. Procedures being taken which end life without parents' consent. A whole range of awful things.
And do you think still to this day, some people are aware that they're not taking parent consent? Their things have not changed in that matter.
No, if anything, it's gotten much worse here in the UK as well. There was a case a few years ago, with a child who got caught up in one of these TikTok challenges. The sort of challenges that kids did, and they would end up getting hurt, or in some cases death. And there was a kid he made, I don't know if I'll name him, but it was a big story in the UK, and he did one of these TikTok challenges, and just every part about it was just, even the way the paramedics carried him out of his house, and just the way he was treated, and then subsequently put to death through the court system. He was on life support, and it was ruled that by a court in the UK that the best thing to do would be to turn off the life support and end his life. So it's gotten worse now because it's gotten into the court system, and the court system, I don't know. I don't know what I prefer. I don't know if I prefer the court system to have the final say, or the care-based professionals. The people who actually are trained to care and treat people. But that power has been completely removed from these professionals, and they've got their hands tied. And it's a grey area for them because, on one hand, they've sworn to do no harm. They've sworn to not play God. They've sworn to care and treat people. But on the other hand, you've got these government protocols which are actively putting people to death. If they don't follow the protocols, they could lose their job, their livelihood. And if they don't follow the oath that they take, then they can end up in prison.
That's true. You could governed by a set of ethics. Like, I was governed by the Iowa Medical Board, and through that, even though it was a little bit different, we still had the same thing. And they're two totally separate things. But if you'll get your license, you can do break those laws like that. The law will try to come after you, but it does not supersede any of that. Yes. Wow.
Yeah, and it's there's been sacrifices along the way, but nothing as bad as what these families had to endure. It's just awful. It's horrible to submerge yourself in it, and it took a while to make the documentary, just because it was hard. It was hard to process, and a lot of what you were hearing. And I have to give credit to Jackie DeVoy, because without her, which wouldn't have been made, she was the driving force behind it all. She's a journalist from the UK, and she writes a lot of good pieces about this kind of stuff. She's been focused on it since COVID now, since 2020. She's been writing about medical democide and things like that.
Good for
her. That's an amazing woman right there.
Yes, tell her we say thank you. I'm going to reach out and send her a thank you. I just think I always go out of for people who have gone through this, because that there's a huge sacrifice. Anytime you talk out like this, it doesn't matter who you are. This is a huge sacrifice. Huge.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a Chinese saying, or a Japanese saying, the nail that sticks out above the rest gets hammered. And that's exactly what happens. You peek your head above the rest, and you try and lead people, even, you will get punished for it.
Yes.
And even if you've not done anything wrong, potentially, they will find ways to punish you. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And if they can't get you legally, they're going to get you other avenues. You're not going to like the response. You will not like the response you get. Absolutely not. And it's there, and it's to teach you a lesson, but it's also there. They're going to keep you in a cycle, because once they got you like that, you're just going to take the beating after beating after beating. They don't care if you've, and this is the part where it's like law enforcement, you have to be careful. Just because they're authority and people took an oath to uphold the Constitution, that doesn't happen. These are different times. This is a different control. If you look at any sort of, like the Stanford Project, when they just gave a small amount of guards and told them that they were chosen for whatever special reason, they had to stop this. And this was a simulation. If they did, people in the police, you don't understand what goes on the other end of it. It is not a good experience. It's not a pleasurable experience. And it's a good old boy system, and it's a blue line. And I crossed that blue line, and I took the beatings for it. And it's still, thank God, I feel like I'm on my tail end of it, but I shudder at it. So I just want to say that all the sacrifices that you've been made, and I know that people are probably not awake enough to tell you most of the time, but eventually they will be able, hopefully they'll come to it. Because you deserve, seriously, a huge thank you. And I mean, I literally appreciate everything you've done so much.
Right back at you. It's like I say, it takes many of us to do the things we do, and it's not easy, and it's definitely very difficult. So hats off to you as well, and the stuff that you've been through, because that doesn't sound easy.
No, it's not. And it's like I said, but when somebody else is willing to, because a lot of the times so many people would say, hey, we're going to be there. We're going to, and I'm the only one showing up. I'm the one holding signs on the street. My child's going into that school, no mask on. They tried to lock the whole thing down. I mean, it was just crazy, but he still went in. We did everything we said we were going to do. And I organized, and all along the way, every step that, that whole cycle, you get hit just a little harder, and then boom, they're just like, I mean, it's crazy. And they don't have to follow by the law. One time they towed my car. I thought it was, and then they said, no, it was actually parked in a different, I mean, just crazy stuff. If they can't get you one way or another, then it's like they just make it completely impossible for you to get anywhere. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of an exile at the moment. I moved away after I got in trouble, and just lay low for a while and keep my head down.
I do too.
Yeah, that was from COVID, the COVID times. During COVID, I was already awake. I'd been awake for properly since 2008, but it was really 9/11 that aroused my suspicion. And I was still in elementary. I was in high school at that time. So that wasn't easy, but
I was in aviation school, and I'm telling you, that would be impossible to happen. Yeah, I just started aviation school for college. I guess I have my undergraduate degree in.
Yeah, it was a real eye opener, 9/11. But then I guess COVID came along, and for me, it was I recognized there was going to be a big awakening. A very big awakening. And when I realized that, I tried to embed myself into that awakening to provide support for people, guidance, leadership. And, that was what got me into trouble, should we say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I said, at some point, I just wanted to tell people, you know what, you should have, I next time, maybe I'll just let you solve your own for yourself, because I've gotten myself in more trouble trying to help people from their freedom and their, I don't know. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's very true.
They'll figure it out in the end. I asked some questions. I saw a lot of things because, I asked some people, I said, people that had just woken up, I said, if the government stopped all this COVID stuff and, they stopped lockdown and life went back to normal, but it maybe even got better, would you sort of still distrust the government like you do now? I said, yeah, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, COVID really did wake up a lot of people worldwide. And I don't know what the reason for that would have been, because it was all self-perpetuated by the government. It's like they want to wake us up for some reason. Who knows? It's a very convoluted situation, and it's hard to try and interpret what's going on. But yeah, COVID was a big one. There was a lot of big protests in London going on during that time. Some people will tell you it's 1 million people. I think a conservative estimate would probably have to be about 500,000 to 700,000. All marching through the streets month after month in London. And I got to see it firsthand, really, you know, the tactics that the police use.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you're in smaller numbers of, say, 40,000 people, they'll attack you. You know, they'll come along and they'll hit you with sticks. They'll punch elderly women in the face, the police. And but once you get to a certain size, or you've got safety in numbers, there's not really much they can do. You know, you get to 70, 100,000 people, and there's not much they can do. They've got different tactics along the way. Another tactic they used was to try and break up the protest into segments of about 1,000 and then disperse them. Don't get me wrong, it was a lot of fun running from the police. Like, it's something very exhilarating about being chased.
I know.
Um,
Oh my God, I've had this happen before, runs before. This is crazy, but you don't, these people don't stop. Oh my God. I can't- Very true. Very true.
and yeah, and you know, I remember being stood in a grocery store or a supermarket, and I was getting some lunch, and these two police were stood in front of me. And there was a special unit called the TSG, which is a territorial support group. And these are basically military personnel just trying to earn some more money on the weekends. And there were two of them stood in front of me, and they were talking to each other. They were saying, "Oh, what a great time this is. This is so much fun. Who would have thought it would have been such a good time?" And I'm stood behind them in the queue, and I joined in with the conversation. I was like, "Yeah, getting chased by you is really fun. It's such a great time." And we were all just like talking and laughing about it.
I know. It's like, I'm telling you, they're sick. It is a sickness. It wasn't like a game. Didn't you? I felt the same way. I'm like, this is not a game. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, this is not a game. This is my life.
Mm-hmm.
But that's exactly what they would do.
Yeah. And I mean, you probably had the protests over in the US as well.
Yes.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know some of the folks from Canada that were doing the trucker protests.
Mm-hmm.
But that was an interesting situation because I feel like the protest started in London, and then it was exported to Canada. They added their twist to it with blocking the highways, the slip roads.
Yeah.
And as it was exported all around the world, each nation added their own twist to it, you know, and they added something to it. So that was really spectacular to see.
Yeah, well, we had been protesting locally the entire time, but I felt like America, when it was their time, what did America do though? I think we were the quietest. Like everybody here was like, oh, when so-and-so gets back in office, that excuse, or, oh, let them, nobody really wanted. I walked away from my job. I walked away from everything. I got my license almost got taken away. I had to put in exempt status. I was a licensed mental health therapist, did that for 7 years. I was in the, respected in the community. Now, people forget all that. They figure everything you did before, and they just read and they buy into. It doesn't even matter that we know, like we knew, like some of us in the group knew that stuff like this could happen. We knew that stuff like this probably would happen. But when it did happen, it was like everybody forgot. Now they're, marching with the enemy, like with their pitchforks and torches. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy how quickly people forget things and move on. But no, I was very proud of just the global population and how they really handled that whole situation in the end. Because I was saying, I don't know if I said before, but they had to change the protesting laws in this country just to make it so that such large numbers couldn't take to the street anymore. And now they've got all these laws.
They did, yeah.
And now they've got all these laws that allow them to disperse huge crowds of people through whatever means necessary. I feel like it's a cornerstone of our democracy has been removed.
Wow. So if that ever happens again and you guys ever protest, because that's your right to protest, what are the numbers like? Do you know? Would they consider a large group?
Well, these powers allow them to disperse people like Christians outside of abortion clinics. If you're silently praying outside of an abortion clinic, you can be arrested in this
Wow.
country. And they've got these dispersal orders that they put in place where they say this whole area you're not allowed to protest. And the police will come up to these women outside the abortion clinic saying, "What are you doing now? Are you protesting?" I said, "No." They say, "Are you praying?" I said, "Yes, I'm praying silently to myself." "You're not allowed to do that. You need to leave the area. That's considered a form of protest." "No, I won't leave." And then they're arrested.
Wow. It's that bad.
Yeah. And then if you go to, say, a protest with 500,000 people, they've got, I've never seen them disperse a group that size before. But they put in these orders and they zone it out and say, you can't protest here. So what they'll do is if you're an organizer of the protest, they'll reach out to you. You've got to submit a risk assessment. If you don't do that, you could be arrested. Wow. And if they deem that they want to cancel the protest, then they pressure the organizers to call it off. If not, they get arrested. It's just terrible. And those changes came in during the COVID protest, in this country at least.
Yes. Oh yeah, everything was changed then. We went back. Nobody watched it before, and I was watching it before. I saw China. We have a sister city in China, and they gave us like the COVID protocol. Nobody realized it. They weren't laid. It was already laid out in February. We didn't shut down until March, so they didn't even realize that it had even been said. Nobody thought to look back. Nobody started even watching until we were too far into it. Not too far, but far enough into it, and they didn't look what happened before.
For as much as in England we've got a stiff upper lip and we just kind of do what we're told, when we rebel, we really rebel. Lockdown was great for me. The roads were empty. I could get to places much quicker. I didn't abide by lockdown at all. As I'm sure you didn't as well. And
no, we didn't.
Of course. And
that's a crazy question. Yeah, no, we didn't.
And I didn't wear a mask. Didn't do any of that. I nearly got into a fist fight with a security guard at a grocery store for not wearing a mask.
Oh yeah, I had a lady almost mace me at the doctor's office. I've had so many different mass people that there's a segment of this population. They were chanting, "Do not stop the spread." At the local mall, there were thousands of people at the Madison Mall chanting, "Stop the spread." I swear to God. They tried to lock down the school. My son went in there. I had to call the police on the school, which I checked it off I could do before. So let me tell you, that doesn't make you any friends either. But he got in. He got in, and he was the only one. And I felt like horrible, but I had prepared that kid to walk into that school that day. And so I totally get it. They're going to come after. I've had the police called multiple times. I mean, they're threatening to send people to where we were at to beat us up with knives. I mean, stuff like that is crazy, isn't it? They were going to let this lady mace me in a doctor's office. And I was like, what? You're not going to stop her because I'm not wearing a mask? And you're not even saying anything? You two ladies behind the plexiglass, like, she's not saying a word. And I was like, they would have let it, I swear to God, they would have let it happen.
It's quite crazy when you think about it. And I always think of people that read the Bible and converted to, say, Christian or whatever. I strip away all the noise and I look at it and I go, that person read that book and now they're acting like that. And to me, that's something called human behaviorism, which is incredibly potent and very powerful. People don't realize how much they're subject to human behavioralism on a daily basis. And sound is incredibly powerful to do it or to control people. If you think about it, when you get in your car, your vehicle, and you don't wear your seatbelt, you hear a noise that won't shut up until you put your seatbelt on. And what do? We all put our seatbelt on because we don't want to hear the noise going ding, ding. So during COVID, they deployed human behavioral tactics, and they called it nudge mechanics. So, it's a very interesting neurochemistry that occurs when that happens. It centers itself around the fear center, and it works into an area of the brain called the limbic system, which is the nervous system and is how your limbs are controlled and everything else. So it goes back to that age-old saying: you control the head, you control the body. And I believe that's what we saw during COVID. Is people were put into a state of fear, and when people are put into a state of fear, they're easy to control. They're predictable, therefore they are controllable. And this concept isn't new. It's been around for a long time. And there's a documentary about it called Human Resources, Social Engineering of the 21st Century, or the 20th Century. I believe the opening quote from that film was, "Give me a boy and I'll make you any man you want." And using all kinds of conditioning, fear conditioning, Pavlov's dog, all that kind of stuff, they can create any type of human they'd like. And whether that's an obedient human or a human that's not obedient to sustain the business model of crime,
Right.
they're in control.
Oh God, that's so true. Oh, sorry, but that is so stinking true. The way you just said that, they take you and they make you public enemy number one. What do? I said I'll embrace it then. Let's just embrace it. But it's not even. I mean, it's not fair, is it? Not unfair, man.
No, I mean, if you think
I'm sorry, that just like caught me off. I was like, whoa, that is so true.
Yeah, if you think of like lifetime criminals, those are people that just defied what they were being told to do. You get people in London. We had a real big problem with phone thieves. The thieves would come up on mopeds and snatch people's phones, and that comes from not wanting to obey, not wanting to participate, not wanting to work for a menial wage, not got anything about you to go and better yourself to provide to the community. And I can see how people get caught up in it. And I would say that crime, even real crimes, is a sustained business model, and they need to sustain it so that they've got the monopoly on violence. Because without the police, without the military, without people committing crimes, there's no justification for the police. There's no justification for the military if there's no wars.
Right.
So yeah, it works both ways, that logic, you could be a law-abiding citizen, that controls you, that keeps you into a form of control. And they categorize people, criminal, non-criminal, functioning member of society, drug addict, whatever, And then once they can categorize you, they can predict your behavior, and therefore you are controllable. And that's what it comes down to.
And they'll always keep you there in that system, that nice system with the high recidivism rates.
Yeah.
Because there's to reform you thy not, Yeah,
the UK prison system doesn't reform anyone. I'll tell you that much now for free. And probably the same in the US as well.
You have to wonder how many people even did the crimes that are in there, and how many just did what they did. I go through that now. I'm like, man, I'm going to reach out. There's that project, and I said, you know what? From here on out, I'm looking through this, because as soon as it impacted my life the way it did, I wouldn't have thought it was possible. If it hadn't gotten me the way that it got me, I would have thought that it was impossible for that to happen.
Absolutely, and I did think it was impossible for it to happen. But once you fly too close to the nest, they come down on you like a ton of bricks.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you are a law-abiding citizen, and they need to make up a reason to come down on you like a ton of bricks.
Yep. And then they make an example out of you. If you were any sort of functioning citizen in that town, or came from any sort of family line or whatever, you are now being made a big example out of. For the rest of the people, don't step out of your lines.
Absolutely. But thankfully, because of the situation that I was going through, everyone could see right through the nonsense. Everyone in my local area was very supportive when I was being arrested and things like that. I was being arrested one time in there was a woman, a neighbor of mine. She came out. She said, "Come straight up to me." She said, "You hold your head up high," because I was sort of looking down as I was being sort of taken out or whatever. And she goes, "No, you hold your head up high. You've got no reason to be hanging your head in shame right now."
Oh, wow.
That was nice, you know. But I say to people, you know, I say prison's a real place. And they go, "Yeah, I know." I go, "No, you don't." No, you don't. You've got no comprehension. You might know what it looks like on the TV, but until you're in there, you don't know.
The isolation alone, were you kept in isolation?
Yeah, because of COVID was going on, I need to be kept in isolation for 24 hours a day.
Oh my God.
It's supposed to be 23 hours a day, but they, for some reason, they didn't let me out. So,
Wow.
but I was only
What
in
was
there
that?
for.
What did you do to stay sane in there? What did you do? How did you how keep your mind occupied? I would have just, oh boy, I would have been mad.
Thankfully, it was only about 6 days of solitary, and you know, you contemplate, you try and work out how you ended up in that situation. You smoke a lot. Although the prisons in the UK have become smoke free, you've got to use the vaporizers now.
Oh yeah. Do you ever come back from that?
Yeah, I smoke still. Yeah.
No, I smoke still too. But I mean, do you think that you met, like, I know to this day, like if I see like even lights coming or anything, I start to shake. Like I have to, you know, like that's how, yeah.
I used to, but before that, I used to have this mentality where I was untouchable. You know, I used to go. I remember at the protests, I'd be at the front because I was the one that knew the route, and I was sort of talking to the police about what roads to block off, but what was I going to say? Totally slipped my mind. Must not be important.
No, you were talking about the protest and how you were that you think you're untouchable, and because I thought I was untouchable too. I was out there too, dumb.
Yeah, the police officers would have cameras. They would film the front of the protest, and I was always putting funny faces at them and things like that. You know, mocking them, and that was my mentality. And then I believe I was subject to a covert policing operation, effectively, that came down from the Home Office, which is a government organization, and they basically just applied as much pressure as they could onto the group. And after that, I mean, yeah, there was a long time for about a year where just hearing a siren, you know, I thought they were coming for me. I was arrested quite a few times. I think I was arrested maybe 6 times in total.
I got it too.
Over the course of about 3 months, and that was hell. And yeah, so anytime you had sirens come in or the police drove down your street, yeah, just terrible anxiety. But
oh my God, it was just dread, because you knew once you were in their hands, they're not nice. I had to be taken up to the ER. They bruised me up so badly. And I mean, like, and then I mean, it was just crazy, shackles and all. And I was like, is this, I can't even believe this is possible. I cannot believe this is possibly happening, is all I kept thinking in my head.
Yeah, for some reason, they sent me to the hospital as well, but they thought I was having a heart attack. But I was shocked because I wasn't. So they hooked me up to an ECG machine, and they said, "This man is having a massive heart attack. We need to get him to hospital as quickly as possible." But it turns out it was just a medical condition that I now know I had. It's called a left bundle branch. If you hook up to an ECG, it makes it look like you're having a massive heart attack, but you're not. Maybe it's just this world and the pain of it, you know?
Yeah.
It's
anxiety?
No, I was feeling fine. It was the custody sergeant that said, "You don't look so good." And they called the meds and the medics, and they deemed that I needed to go to hospital. I got morphine though. That was probably the highlight of my day.
I know.
A little bit out of my mind, you know.
Oh my gosh, I can relate to that. I know. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's so true. Just to get you through the days and nights, it's never the longest. I mean, you have no time or concept after a while of
Mm,
time, day, night. You're being fed stuff you shouldn't even like that I didn't even know that humans could consume and drinking
mm,
toilet water. So I don't know, what would be the big to do about it, but when you're not, and then on top of it, you got all this like emotional stuff and disbelief, and you're going through like total chaos. Like this isn't supposed to happen.
mhm,
Telling the truth is not supposed to get you, I literally can maneuver through. I don't know as if I'll ever be the same. I sit back, I watch every road when we're out, I look at every avenue. That's how it took and what it took for me to maneuver safely through the city at one point.
mm. Yeah, that's awful. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
No, I'm
Um,
sorry you did too, but yeah, it's crazy.
mm. Yeah, but I was I think I was arrested on New Year's Eve once. And then I'd spent the New Year, and then the 1st of January I was released. So I'd literally spent one New Year in a prison cell or a jail cell rather.
My God.
Um, it's okay. I mean, I've never really spoken to anyone about this before. Um, Certainly not on a podcast, but I feel more comfortable to do so now. Just can't get too much into the details of it.
No, I understand. And believe me, I've got matching stories. Don't feel bad at all. And I've talked about some of it too. So you're good.
Mm. Yeah, no, it's good to talk about it now. But yeah, COVID was crazy, and then the documentary came after that. And after that, I moved up to I moved out of England, shall we say? I won't give my location away. Um, and I'm just there now. Just trying to lay low and focus on myself, and yeah, just sort of taking it easy now. But I feel more relaxed. I don't fear the police anymore, or anything like that. I don't think they're coming for me, So that's nice to reclaim that part of myself.
Yes, it's very nice.
Mm. But the whole motivation for involving myself in the COVID situation was simply to provide support to people who were waking up, because it was a big group of people, angry people as well. The protests, there was a lot of angry people. Um,
There was a lot of anger. You're right about that. Lot all around, all sides.
mm, yeah, even people in the protests. I described, the awakening journey. You wake up, and the first thing I did it as well. 2008, I was outside the Bank of England at the G20 protests. You can go and Google that. The guy died. A guy called
Yeah.
Ian Tomlinson died. He was killed at the hands of police as well. But that was a wild process. That was violent as hell. I got punched by a copper. They were charging horses at people, straight into people, pushing old ladies across the street. It was total chaos.
Yeah.
So it's the first thing you do. You want to take to the streets and be angry and demand that other people change your life for you, your government. But people don't realize they're giving their power away. And then after that, it's just a case. People leave the protesting scene, and then they settle down, and they they sort of try and figure out the conspiracy and the rabbit holes that ensue from that. Most people take years. A lot of the COVID, a lot of recently, they're still going through that, but a lot of them have moved into the spirituality phase now, which is nice, because that's where the real work's done.
Mm-hmm.
And so it comes in waves, the awakening. There was the wave in 2008 that I was on. There was waves in between that. There was COVID was a big wave, global wave of awakening.
I started before, but 2017 was my marker.
What was going on in 2017 that woke you up?
That's when I had my first ET experience. I encountered a UFO. It was measured to be 50 foot in diameter. It was 30 feet away, face to face almost. Like I didn't turn back from there.
Wow, that's incredible. That'll do it, eh? That'll do it. And that was similar to me. Before COVID, that was, it was all the ET stuff for me.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I was so wrapped up into the UFO stuff before the COVID too, and there was like I switched. I literally switched communities, and I was like, full speed ahead. But yeah, that happened.
I think when you see the UFOs, I don't know, maybe everyone's experience is a bit different, but once you definitely go down the UFO interdimensional alien route, I believe it ignites something in you where you realize the importance of your mission. And
I received a mission. Like, I had no idea. Mine was communication, and that was like one of the first things. And then it came into play more and more. And I'm like, you get your purpose.
It certainly gave me my purpose, which was the reason why I was at the COVID protests and things like that, and made the film. But yeah, that to me, that was the most exciting time. I mean, the protests were fun and all, walking onto the street with 500,000 people behind you, realizing that, traffic's going to wait for you now. You don't need to wait to cross the road. You've got strength in numbers. So that was all those really nice positive things that came from it, But for me, the real exciting time was definitely the UFOs, the interdimensional beings. That was by far the most amazing time that I'd ever had.
Oh, that was one of the. I mean, it was when you saw one. There was nothing better. It was exciting. I remember one came down in the road. Even, I mean, it got to a point in my peak of them. I'd say one. I mean, major that was close down near. No, like the first one I saw one every 2 weeks, and then they kind of. But after the COVID, that part of it just kind of like came to a more of a halt. I've seen them not that close. We don't have the relationship we once did, but I think it was so I would transition in and start doing this is where I'm supposed to be. So I felt like maybe it was, kind of them weaning me off. Yeah, because it's so exciting, is it not? Was it not like one of the most best experiences of your life? I mean, it was just, I don't know. It's all I can explain it as.
Yeah, I often describe it as one of the best experiences, the best experience of my life. There's and there's very few people that have an experience, those experiences. The UFOs is one level to it, and then you begin to question who's flying those things.
That's where it gets weird. Yes.
And I decided
I asked for the tour. I know I asked for the tour. I'm completely okay with talking about it. But I asked for the tour. I was like, man, if these are this exciting, I want to see what this is like. I was so intrigued by them that I asked for the tour. I did. And I had medical things going on, and that was none of those against all medical odds. I'm fine. Totally fine. But I attribute that experience to it.
Yeah, I believe if I had a similar experience when I was younger where I don't know, I think I nearly died. I had meningitis. Or the doctors, because there was such a miraculous recovery, the doctors thought it was just an allergic reaction, but I had all the signs for meningitis. So, but yeah, no, it's I think you're constantly going to be spiritually attacked. For who you are, and they'll even try and kill you in various different ways. But I think that because you're on a mission and you're on a path, that there will be divine intervention always, which is why I'm not so scared about those things. But
did you ever think of, and I kind of asked you before, and I don't know if you're comfortable even talking about it, but did you ever think, because it was said that like some of the kids, or the gate kids, that they were being identified because they were not able to be programmed and controlled the way that other people are? I saw Doc Skinner's in here. He and I have talked about it. Everybody knows I'm a gate kid. He was a gate kid. Like, there's certain things that they identified because I believe they're worried about these very same things, like what you did, what I did. We're not able to, it doesn't matter. And even though I want to, and I've learned to curve it a little, I'm like, that cause comes and it's like instantaneously. I don't know. I just snap up and like I'm ready to go. But it just, I don't know. What's your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, I think how do they know who's who? You know, I mean, they've got the gate test that they do. I went
You're
to school
pegged
in
by a heel prick. By a heel prick. They were getting people by the heel prick in the hospital. And whatever was there, whatever blood, and I can tell you, I don't know, I have a different blood type than my mother, so I was very jaundiced. And that was enough that to put me onto the radar.
I don't know quite how I ended up on the radar per se, but I definitely remember I was in school in America and they used to take me out of class 3 times a week.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. They said I was dyslexic, but you know, I'm not. I'm just not. And
Yeah, I know. I was taken out too. Exactly. Yeah. I can't remember what they said I was, but I was just like, I couldn't even tell you exactly why I was there. You know, there was in my mind, there was no reason like that they even really gave, but yeah.
But what I did notice is that I was sat in a small classroom with a group of kids that weren't from the US. And I always think back to the MK Ultra hearings where they said, I think that the determination from those hearings was that you can't do these things on American citizens. And the DIA and the CIA literally just said, okay, we won't do it on American citizens. So, I mean, and by the time I ended up in the school system, they'd refined those mechanisms and practices like way better than they had done from the 80s and the 70s and the 60s and things like that. And I just believe it went more covert by nature. And I think, yeah, the GATE program is all part of that. I had to do the hearing test and guess what the cards were and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. But I don't, you know, what subsequently occurred from that was they told me I was dyslexic and they just kept telling me that how I was reading was wrong. And
they had you in the system though, didn't they?
Yeah, you know, it was a bit confusing, but you know,
it branches down to any type of special education program. That's how they can monitor.
That's what I think I'd learned about it as time went on, and it was definitely a monitoring exercise. But you know, it come down to that age-old thing: is I just wasn't paying attention in school. I didn't see the value in school.
Me either. Yeah. None of us do. These are characteristics of a lot of other just like yourself out there. I know. I didn't see it either. Well, why were we going to memorize everything? It didn't make any sense. I connect dots together. I too have a really high IQ. So I don't see the same thing, you know, anything the same usually, but I know that about myself. But I can like literally connect dots like across the board like no other. Nobody would understand a single word that I had said. But to me, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I remember learning about Christopher Columbus, and in 3rd grade, Miss Fishburger's class, and I remember learning about Christopher Columbus. I was like, that guy discovered something. I want to discover something. Why would I want to learn what everyone else has discovered? I want to go and discover and contribute. So,
oh wow,
I never made it to PhD level on anything because, again, that's a degree of knowledge. And like you said, I'm into connecting the dots. So
yeah. Well, this wasn't until like, okay, so after when I encountered the ETs in 2000 and see, I was 2019, but it's 2017. This was like, you know, I had gone to college before. And then after, I always remember my grandpa saying intellectuals are stupid. He'd tell me this over and over again. And I was like, Grandpa, like they don't value education. This is what I'm thinking in my head. And then when I woke up, I went from, you know, worrying more about like what clothes or what my outfit looked like to some pretty serious problems that were really going on in the world. But it wasn't until then, like everything, it wasn't that I didn't have a high IQ. I just didn't really care. It wasn't in my, maybe my value system or whatever. But from that point forward, everything changed. I looked at education and I said, how can I do this? How am I programming people's brains. Like I have no business doing this, but I saw how easy it could be done. How easy that oxytocin, how easy it is to serotonin and like, you know, the dopamine in your brain just from a back and forth conversation. And I mean, an engagement that right there, you got and if you get somebody's hand or there's just a little pressure, that oxytocin will release and you're as good as like mine if I wanted to manipulate the situation. That's what would happen. But I was like, this isn't right. This is not
No,
right.
no. Again, there's all kinds of neurotransmitters, as I'm sure you're aware. Neuropinephrine's a good one, the fight or flight one.
Yes.
That
Fight,
one,
flight or deer in headlight.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of neurotransmitters, and again, it's just it dictates our behavior, and our neurochemistry is very powerful.
Especially that
People don't realize.
prefrontal cortex. Oh yeah, and the amygdala and all that in your brain. Absolutely.
Yeah, the fear center and the amygdala. That's a very powerful tool, especially when you can get it into what's called limbic resonance, and get it into the limbic system, because then you control the rest of the body.
Yes.
Which was like during COVID was very important, but they've been doing it since society began. You know, there were sacrifices that used to take place back in ancient societies, and it was all to do with the fear and the control of the population. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess I should dive into the ET stuff now, because that takes a little while.
Yeah, no, and I just want to stress to everybody how powerful like this is, because I know what truth means to you and what deception and lies and what it could kept from the community means also. And I also know your sacrifice. So I love to go into your ET stuff because I know that you're just as equally passionate about that. And I always say to people, like, if you're not going to go out there and risk and put all this on the line, if you like, you know, I value your testimony in regards to all of this. So I, as a fellow experiencer, like definitely take it away.
Great. Where to begin? I mean, start at the beginning, or should I start at the end and work my way back?
Do you remember what it was like, the first one you came in contact with?
Yeah, let's talk about it. I'd obviously been seeing them as a child and things like that, but my first experience as an adult, should we say, I'd seen UFOs, crop circles, all of the phenomena linked to it, but actually being stood face to face with one of these beings was deeply profound. And I was stood face to face in the 3D world that we see now. And there was another person there to witness it as well.
And you came in contact with an ET or a craft?
ET. Boots on the ground.
Wow. Yeah. What can you describe what they look like, or? Yeah.
This one was humanoid, obviously by nature, arms, legs, that kind of thing. But their features were very different. They were human-like by nature, but their features were like no other features you'd ever seen on a human before. They were, everything about them was more refined. Eyes were slightly different shape. Enough for you to know that you weren't looking at a human.
Right. Did you look into their eyes?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was, when I was looking into her eyes, felt like I was directly fused to her being. So I'll explain that experience.
It's crazy. I've done the same. I was just curious as to what happened when you did.
Yeah. It's so I met a chap in about 2009. It's called Dave Hunt. He's a very credible individual. He did royal protection for the Queen for a short period of time. He was in the military, special forces, He's an intellectual, and I was having a philosophical discussion with him one day at a friend's house, and he asked me, what do I think about aliens? I said, I gave the generic answer at the time, and I kind of said, oh yeah, they must be real. The universe is massive. And I asked him, I said, what about you? What do you think? And he just goes, I know they're real. I said, what do you mean you know they're real? He goes, I've seen them. I couldn't refute the truth in his eyes. And I believed him. I believed him. And I said, can you
believe they're real? Oh, yes.
That's the important part of the theme. And I'll get to that. Yeah. You do know.
Yeah.
And I said, can you introduce me? He goes, yeah, but it'll take a while. I said, what do you mean? He's like, well, you've got to prepare yourself for it. I said, okay. So over that was a 5-year period from that initial conversation until I was actually found myself stood face to face with these beings. And everything that happened in between that was crazy. Like, crazy. UFOs, like...
I know.
Crop circles, time doing weird things, like speeding up really quickly, like, and everyone else speeding up to catch up with the timeline or whatever. It was weird stuff. Time was being stopped. I could see everyone was still. I'm the only one that can move, and all kinds of strange, ridiculous things.
I know, it's crazy. It is.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's like a completely 1000% amazing, but it's so crazy at the same time. It's like, man, who can I tell this to?
Yeah, I make a habit of trying to walk into a psych ward as much as possible and tell them these things and say, I can see UFOs, I meet aliens, and I can read your mind, dude.
Yeah, because they will be used against you, whether or not you have legitimately, let me tell you, they will use this against you. Oh my God. I tell you.
Yeah, it's awful what happened to you there. And I make a habit of trying to walk into a psychologist's office and say these things and practice walking out. That's, you got to keep yourself well practiced in walking out, should we say.
You got to get out quick, though. How fast you got to move. Get out of there fast enough.
Oh, yeah, you've got to interrupt their natural behavior so it causes confusion. They went off to make a phone call to try and, I don't know, put me on drugs or mandate it or something. And as they were leaving to go make the call, I got up and walked out as well. They said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to go wait outside of this locked unit while you go and determine what you want to do.
Get out.
But no, it's definitely something you need to kind of practice, or everyone should practice, is articulating that you're not crazy.
And having evidence. I always think of stuff like this. Hold on to these videos, talk to other people, reach out to the people in your group, have and know who you're going to call. You have to have a safety plan. That's so true. When I go down into the courthouse, there's certain people that are waiting outside and around that are a part of our group to make sure I safely go in and I safely come back out. That's, you need to prepare.
Yeah, I just do it on my own. I think if you can articulate as well, I don't know, you sound like you've been through worse than what I have in that respect. I always manage to catch it at the doctor phase, and I can always articulate to the doctor that, you're crazy for thinking that I'm crazy. And a great one for psychologists, you just say, how many people has psychology cured? And they all say none. So, there you go.
And I'm a therapist. Can you imagine some of these same people are the people that I worked with? That puts a whole new twist on it. Oh, yeah. Their notes are not written accurately, like none of it.
I bet you saw it for what it was, working on the inside.
I did. And I think they used that, and it probably was more extreme because that would have been more embarrassing for me than it would have been for anybody else.
Yeah,
Bravo.
It's awful. It's awful. And, but, over that 5-year period, it was just all the crazy stuff, UFOs, summoning UFOs, crop circles being made overnight, like huge crop circles. overnight. Like, who made that? I didn't see anyone make it. I was outside in camping in a tent, and we go to sleep one night and there's no crop circle. We wake up the next morning and there's a crop circle. Just
I know some of the craziest stuff. What did you say, or what did you think when you came out and you're seeing this? Like, how did you respond? Were you just like, sometimes I just like, I go and then just in amazement, I just kind of go back inside and say, I don't know if I have shock value left. I mean, there were shocking moments, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it was crazy. That's all I can say. But it was exciting.
it was exciting, yeah. And for me, when I was going through that journey, there was a group of about 10 to 12 of us all having those experiences in various different capacities, whether it be people just seeing UFOs, or being present when crop circles were made, seeing how crop circles were made, or it was a real spiritual journey. And but it was it was 5 years from deciding I wanted to meet them to actually meeting them, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without Dave's help. And he pieced all that together himself. He didn't have anyone to help him come to terms with those experiences.
And there's no manual or book, and MUFON, nobody has any answers. Nobody does.
Nope. But Dave can definitely tell you how to do it.
I would love to hear this.
But so I'll get into the big story then. So Dave is camping in a nature reserve and we get housing estates in this country. It's like a big development. They'll build a load of the same house or different types of houses, and then they'll build a nature reserve in the middle for you to go and walk your dog. That sort of thing. And Dave was camping there one night, and I went to visit him. Having a cup of tea, and just talking like we were. I'd been there throughout the day, and the strangest thing happened during the day. I was looking at the tent, and the way the leaves, the shadows of the leaves formed on the tent, or how they laid on the tent, it created this perfect three-dimensional face.
No.
That was. I said to Dave, I said, look at that. And he was at a different angle to me. And he looked back and he goes, oh yeah, it looks like a face, doesn't it? I said, yeah, I've never seen shadows of leaves do that before. He said, yeah, a bit strange. And all throughout that day, Dave kept saying to me, oh, I had a dream about you last night. I was like, all right, a bit weird. He's like, I can't remember what happened. It keeps slipping my mind. I can't remember what happened. And he keeps trying to tell me all day, on and off, that dream I had, it's gone. It's gone. So it gets late at night, 1 o'clock, that unusual time. And we decide to go for a walk and, do a bit of star watching, see some UFOs. And we're walking down this, dirt track, sort of woods all around us, forest, whatever, trees. And Dave turns to me and he says, that dream. He goes, this is where it happens for you. And I felt the whole 5 years prior was about when this moment came that I felt at complete peace with it. I couldn't feel fear because they disappear. I had to make sure that my first response wasn't fear. And when he turned to me and said, this is where it happens for you, I knew it was going to happen. You get false flags almost, or not false flags, but like, what's the word I'm looking for? Close calls, maybe.
Yeah.
And then you feel the fear, and then it doesn't happen. But this time I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't know what was going to happen exactly. But I just knew that it was going to happen. So we continue to walk down this lane. And as I'm walking, I catch something in my peripheral vision. So I stop. I turn slowly. And there is what appears to be an interdimensional being or a woman stood there. It's like nothing I'd ever seen before. There was a weird edge to it where, like, there was an area around them, or this woman, it was distorting almost. That's the best way to describe it. So I walked over to her and I stood face to face, probably about that close. And like I said, I was looking in her eyes, and my mind wanted to validate what I was experiencing. So it wanted to check that, you know, this woman was subject to gravity like we were. She was solid. So I walked up to her. I looked straight in the eyes. And then I touched her on the shoulder, on the right hand shoulder. No, sorry. Before that, she grabbed my attention in my mind. She said, "Oh, I'm up here, like up here. I'm up here." I'm like, "Oh, you're in my head." She's like, "Yeah, that's me. Hello." Like, so I said, "What are we doing here then?" And the best way I can describe how that works is they can almost, because they're in your mind or whatever it is, they can sense the electrochemical disturbance in your brain or your electrochemical makeup before a question is even formed in your brain, let alone before you've even got the words to ask it.
Yes.
I never spoke one word during that experience. And once she grabbed my attention, I then began to try and validate that her existence was real. And I touched on the shoulder, on the right shoulder. I said, "You're solid." "Well, I thought you're solid." And she sort of shivered and was like, "Yeah, but like not as a preference." So, okay, sorry, like, my bad. And she sort of said to me, "You know, if you want to verify that I'm real, why don't you just go and get your friend? I'm sure he'll do it for you." So I looked, and Dave was there. And that point, Dave could see what I was seeing. And then she was wearing almost like a camo style, like a uniform. And apparently what I did after this encounter was I raised my hand like that. And so did she. And she just disappeared.
Wow.
So that's sort of the start to finish, but there's some bits in between, you know. There's some bits in between.
Did she say like did you ask what your purpose was here, or why you were able to, you know, see some of the UFOs, or what it was, I guess, happening for your future or your involvement in it?
Yeah, so up until this point, I had been in knee deep in conspiracy theories, spirituality, and there was just a lot of confusion surrounding it. You know, is it true? Is it not true? You know, what's the deal with this? And that one experience almost validated everything I'd researched, which is what I needed to almost go on my quote unquote journey, as it were, which then led on to the COVID stuff and the filmmaking and things like that. But I received massive downloads of information.
Oh yeah.
To put it ill into words is quite difficult. But
how did you handle it? Did you have the 1,000 different notebooks? I that's where I went. I've talked to other people and they're like, man, I was like a crazy person. I was like writing, I don't know, didn't even, but I look back upon it. It's been a lot of confirmation in those notebooks.
No, I didn't write any of it down. I just obviously I just remembered it. It was part of me now. And there was two more beings there, but I couldn't quite see them. And she tried to get my attention. She pointed over to them to say, "Hey, look, there's two more," or whatever. But I looked back, I was like, I can't see them. But Dave could see those two. So I don't know.
I've heard of that before. Do you think it's like a force field? Do you think it's like something that they around them, or I mean, they're obviously the ones that are changing time. It's not unless we know how to do it. We just don't know how to do it.
I think what has to happen is you've got to change your perception of what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, because in that moment it was my first encounter, I was very much fixated on what I could see in that moment. So I believe that our minds are blocking out parts, if not most, of reality.
Absolutely.
And I think because Dave was more experienced than me, he was able to see the other two stood behind me.
Because your mind right now is adjusting big time. I mean, you kind of fractured a part of it that you're repairing quickly because you now had it validated. Luckily, you did that because that's a huge thing right there. I think that's what the notebooks like were for me, was that validation, because it was that's excellent that you had that, but you also had a bigger reality to swallow. I just started off with UFOs. ET came later. You just came face to face, like right then and there. You want to talk about my world changing? I bet that dumped yours completely upside down.
Yeah. Two things crossed my mind. First one was, I'm an idiot. How have I discovered this, but yet our brightest minds haven't? That's terrifying. Or our brightest minds and the government know about this and they're covering it up, which is equally as terrifying. So it really didn't matter which one it was, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I was very disorientated after that experience, after it happened. And they'd explained all kinds of things to me. They'd explained a concept about the 3 T's. They'd explained to me like I was a child. And that, you know, there's teleportation, telekinesis, and telepathy were real. They explained that married couples can use telepathy because of the love that they have for each other. And the theme,
your hearts sync close together.
That's right. And the theme of that experience, like you said, was they said to me, well, they didn't say anything, but this is part of the download. I can access the download. The big theme of that experience was a distinction. It was, do you believe it when you see it, or do you see it when you believe it? Which was what you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very much of the persuasion that we will see it when we believe it.
Yes, we will.
And that 5-year journey was me convincing my mind to believe it.
Yes. That is so true. I always go back and I talk about the point I believed, because my grandmother, who I trusted very much, had seen one, and she pulled over and told me the whole story. So when I was a kid, I believed. I had never seen one, but that was the point. And now I believe that to be very necessary. I do. Yeah. So when you said it before, yes, I definitely, I feel the same way about it.
Yeah, there was all kinds of information that got downloaded, you know. But after all that happened, I drove home, and it was the middle of the night, and I got into bed, and I'm sat there in bed, like absolutely spangled van dangled about what had just happened, and I'm just staring into space, like I'm not focusing on anything else, and I'm reliving the experience. I'm sat there with my eyes open, and lo and behold, the room turns to blackness. And then I'm back in that experience yesterday, reliving it.
Oh, they taught you how to do that?
No, I've never done that since.
That's how they re-experience memories.
Yeah, I think that's how they do their interdimensional stuff. But I've since learned that it is actually possible to do that, but the amount of focus and concentration you've got to have for any human to maintain that is not really possible. And the only reason it was possible for me in that moment was because that's a life-changing experience that not many other humans have had to experience.
Amazing.
And
did you go through the void area?
it turned to black, and then
nothing, no sound, no nothing. That's the adjustment period. Like you sit there for and that right there is enough to I've been there.
So the room sort of turned to black until it was black, and then the black subsided, and I was back outside in reliving that experience. And then I was like, okay, cool. But then I realized that there was something very wrong about this. And I didn't know what it was, but the thing that got me to think it was wrong was I had already remembered driving home, and I should be 2 miles away from here. And with that thought, the black came back, the black subsided, and I was back in the room. Now, I don't know whether I left the room. Probably not. I mean, if you were anyone to walk in, I'm probably still sat there. I mean, I don't know. But it was real, was what I'm experiencing now.
It was very real. I sat there and I watched the clocks, and it flipped from 5 to 5:40. I sat there, but I remember what it was like having all that stripped, then being in the darkness, then there was no noise, there's no sound. I thought, oh great, I'm trapped here for eternity. But I think those moments like you had, like, oh, I have to, like, it's kind of similar to even if you're I'm traveling, like, right? It's as easy as remembering what someone's voice is and what they look like. So that might have been your alarm that you set, even, or their alarm to take you back. I don't know. I always think of things like that, but they did show me that and they took me through like a total simulation, and everything was created the way that it would be, and it was just like reliving it, except for you're an observer now.
It could be that. It could be astral projection. I mean, I don't know. I can only really experience it from my point of view. And
no, they have a whole different system. I get what you're saying about my brain's not capable of doing it. It all recreates like around. It's like they showed me like almost like a slinky, like that's around, like it's overlapping all these different areas. So they go back like quantum jump, maybe like back to that specific time and re-experience it, so they don't change or mess up the future, is what I would suspect. I don't know for sure, but that's kind of like my take on it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And before I had the experience, I had a telepathic connection with them before I had the experience, and I was getting worked up. I was getting annoyed one day about, like, when am I going to have this experience?
I know.
And I keep getting this phrase in my head: "We're working you out. We're working you out." I was like, what do you mean you're working me out? I later realized that they were potentially playing the scenario every which way to make sure that nothing went wrong. Because it's a very dangerous experience for both parties.
Oh, I bet.
Probably more dangerous for us than what it is them. But I'd say the best way to describe it, it's like a human with a gun interacting with a lion. I felt like they had tremendous power. They could kill you with a blink of an eye if they wanted to. And they exerted more intelligence than I had ever seen in any human. Like I said, they were intercepting your thoughts before you had them, and then giving you the answers in your head.
They told me, like, I was restrained one time. I asked why. I'm like, why? And they said because of contamination. So I'm sure there's got to be something that, but that's what they had said. But then after I was able to move around freely, but for a period of time, it was restraint.
Yeah, so I think there's a danger to it, and but I couldn't believe their level of intelligence. There's a reason people don't see them, and there's a reason why they run rings around us, and because they're just too damn smart. And there's no really other way to put it. But I don't know. I don't trust them.
I don't either.
I don't trust them.
I did it first, wholeheartedly, 100%. But what I've learned is that, especially through some of this and the trickery that's been done, there's always a small percentage that's going to get past you, and they're going to be really, really good at what they do. Really good, to the point of you're going to trust them. You're not going to see it coming. There's some of the, and that is where I get my radar or goes up a bit, because in talking to people, they're like, maybe this is the least point of resistance. Maybe this is, but two, if you've truly been identified as, and I was identified as a child, this is all out on, I've got documents to prove it all. And if they truly are, and they're worried about such resistance as coming today, because everything is planned. Like everything, or now the government holds your technology 20 to 40 years even. So everything is planned and pre-written. So is it that they know that they're coming and we need, something? And is this a government, like, is this going to be the biggest, black budget project ever? Or, because I really feel that there's two sides to this. There's some of it that feels like manipulation and control, but there's also a side, like there's some of them that don't. They feel very playful. They children like. They feel, whatever. But I've also seen when I was on a child and the child was waiting and he didn't look like he had a bad bone, and he was just kept waiting, and he looked more like us, a bald head, but he didn't really say anything. He's just sitting there and nobody really explained it. Later on, it kind of came an explanation for it. It was not mine or anything like that, but it was a child who's waiting it. And I often think, like, according to like Mary Rodwell and everything, I don't think the children have come into play yet. I think they're the ones that really have some ability.
Yeah, I think I would see them as a child, but I wouldn't see them nearly as clearly like I saw them then. I just saw silhouettes, like glass-like silhouettes with a multicolored edge was what I saw as a kid. And I got telepathic messages, and I could sense the presence. That's a big thing, sensing the presence.
So as a kid, did you see? I didn't realize, and I look back now because I grew up a medium. Were you able to see spirits? Can you communicate with?
No, not ghosts terrify me. I'm not gonna lie. I feel dread whenever I think of ghosts. Like
I'm wondering if what I thought was a ghost was what you were kind of, because they were shadow. It started off an aura around people when I first started to experience this, and it was like a shadow, or like, it kind of went to. There was various stages, and it kind of sounds like what you're describing.
Yeah, the black shadow beings, which are, I think they're just the reptiles. Then you've got the Pleiadians, which is, I think, the ones that I saw. There's all kinds of types, but like I don't even know, because of the way the mind works. It's hard to know, is your mind doing that? Because there's all kinds of weird phenomena that occur. Dave had a conversation with one of them once, and he's like, "What are the greys? Where did they come from?" He's like, and the ET responded, "I don't know. You do that to us. Why do you do that? Is it a grey area for you? What's the problem?" So I think how you might, and I think back to other people that when they first saw their first UFO, they saw a car flying through the sky, as if that was somehow more believable than a craft. Like, so I think the mind can do weird things, but I do think that when two people witness the same thing, it becomes reality. I mean, growing up, it was all, for me, it was about, I felt like they were teaching me things when I was growing up. They taught me about the sense of presence and what that was. And I remember thinking to myself, it's like you can feel air moving into the room or something, and there's a little sound that you hear, like a whoosh noise. It taught me all kinds of things about the phenomena and what the experience would later turn out to be. But I think you go to school, your mind becomes conditioned. And then once your mind's been conditioned, it's been conditioned to block out that reality.
You're not able to be conditioned, are you?
It's very hard to do, but yeah, it can be done. I've got to, everyone's got to have some kind of an ego or conditioning to even just remain in this reality.
Oh yeah, but I mean, are they able to take like a kid, like let's say in school, and manipulate you, like, and program you the same way that they would another child? I don't.
That's why they had to take me out of class and tell me everything I was doing was wrong, because I just didn't take part in school. That's the best way to describe it.
They're looking for you. They had been looking for you. That's exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, I even right up until when I finished school, like my grades, I could spell the word fudge with my grades, you know, FUDGE. I just
Yeah, mine were horrible too. I didn't apply myself just because you were part of this program. I have had my IQ tested, and like you said, like I counted like I definitely Mensa candidate. Like they've come and so all of that stuff. It's not even that. It's the fact that I did not find any. I didn't. It felt wrong. The information felt wrong. I wasn't putting together my dots with their pieces, and I just didn't see the value of it. I really didn't. And when I went to college, I played the game and I graduated with a 3.99. That was only to prove that I could, it wasn't a fact that I didn't want to, I just didn't see the value in any of it.
It's not valuable at all. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
don't get me wrong. If you're going to learn something like university is probably not so bad because if I went to learn engineering at college, that's probably useful, right? That's probably useful, but you're still conditioning your mind to make physics work almost, because I've seen I've seen things where physics didn't make sense for a moment. So perhaps they're trying to condition everybody into manifesting the same reality.
Yes.
So I think that's what's going on. I think that's why they need to condition, because what that really happened when Dave and I had an experience is we might have just detached from the reality and went to a place where we could have an experience.
You're a creator.
It's
Not
hard to
everybody
know.
is. Not everybody is. You don't create for right now, today. You create for your future. It takes a little time.
Yeah, it's something I'm definitely noticing, but I haven't really noticed it for such a long time. I haven't noticed it.
Probably sped up now.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what's coming next, Where I stand now, I can go and see UFOs, no problem. I can take people to see UFOs, although I wouldn't advise you do that. I've had some horror stories. I took two of my friends, they'd listen to me about my experiences. They'd be like, "Oh, wow, interesting." That's, and then, but when two of your friends get together and they both know the story, then they make fun of you.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yeah.
I know.
But okay, buddy, UFOs, sure thing.
Oh, yeah. Here comes the crazy UFO lady. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I thought to myself, fine, I'll show you some UFOs then. So we got to where we were walking to. It was at night. And we sat down where we were going to sit down. And I thought, all right then, I'm going to summon some UFOs. And then lo and behold, the first one shows up. I go, "Oh, what's that?" They're like, what is that? It's not like anything I've ever seen before. I said, "Doesn't look like a plane, does it?" I said, "It would have a flashing pattern on the wing. You'd see it flashing. It's not flashing, is it?" They're like, "No." They're like, "It's moving too slow to be a plane as well." And it sped up really quickly for a minute. They said, "Planes don't do that." I go, "I know the planes don't do that." I said, that's a craft. I said, "That's an interdimensional craft." And they're like, "No way, no way." I'm like, "Yeah, way. Why don't you ask it to do something? Why don't you ask it to land, or why don't you ask it to power up real bright?" And one of my friends said, "Yeah, get it to power up." And before he could say power up real bright, he got to the P in power, and this thing lit up like a Christmas tree.
He's locked in.
So I was like,
Well, that's a coincidence, isn't it? Well, let's try something else then. It's like that had to have been a great moment for you, Phil.
"Oh yeah."
I would have had a victory right there.
They were loving what they were seeing. They were smiling on their face. They were like, "Oh, no way, no way. What is this?" I said, and then another one came over, and another one, and another one. And after about 4, it got a bit much for them. And so I said, "All right, we'll stop, shall we? We'll stop." And but unfortunately, one of those people, I won't name names, but ended up being very, very psychologically unsound after that.
Fractured and couldn't couldn't do it.
Yeah, he's on a cocktail of drugs now, not good drugs. Medicines, should we say? Or they call them medicines, but
Yeah, right. Yeah, more side effects known to man.
yeah, and there was another time that I took a group of people, to go and see them. Like, it was what we were going to do. They wanted to do it, and they just kept coming over. Well, what it was is this group of people, they needed to settle internally, and they weren't settling. One of them was anxious about it, and this was an amazing moment for me, because I was getting telepathic messages saying that you need to calm them down or whatever. So I managed to do that, and as that person became calm, I felt this pulse in my chest, and then the first one appeared right in front of us. And then everyone was like, wow, that's great, that's cool. And it sort of flew over. And another one came along, and it kept getting lower and lower and lower and lower. And they were getting so low that I had to suggest that, would everyone be okay if they landed? Everyone was excited. Of course, they thought that's what they wanted. That's what another thing is. Everyone goes, oh, yeah, I'd love to meet them. It's like, no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. I said, no, you'd be so scared. And this craft came over, and it started to lower itself down into the field that we were in. The anxious person got scared, and it took off again, sort of went back up and just flew away, and that was the end of it. Those people turned against me. Their subconscious turned against me.
Isn't that crazy how that happens? I had somebody, and we had one come down on the road, and I have it like, and it and then it shot off. We were chasing it. There were two triangles with a bright yellow center. And afterwards, she's like, do you think maybe you've seen too much? Do you think maybe you've gone far enough? Like, it's almost my fault from there on out. Like, she wouldn't look up. She just like, it was almost like I became public enemy. I'm like, what do you mean? What is enough? You have too much information, or you have like, I don't know, but that's kind of the response then. And then they flip flop that programming.
Yeah. They go into this kind of covert state where they're still your friend.
Yep.
But now they're going to destroy your life.
Yes. Like they're programmed for it. It's
like
a programmed response.
And both people that I showed, the UFOs too, have in some way or another affected my life. I won't get into how, but one more recently as well has gone on to ruin things for me. The one that is now not psychologically well. I say ruin, but realistically, it's probably a blessing in disguise.
Probably safer.
Yeah, maybe. Just an ex-girlfriend, caused the breakup with an ex-girlfriend. So, because I was somehow insane or something. Anyway, but
I know it's all close to home too. Yeah, I hear you.
And people's subconscious minds will do strange things when they feel threatened.
Oh, definitely.
But it was the most exciting 5 years of my life.
On the run?
No, I don't trust them.
No, I don't trust them either. It's like, I mean, like I run, not like literally, but I guess I say on the run. I've moved out of my county because I'm going to re-enter here, but I had to leave for a year so it simmered down. I had just a year later, there's a local there that was going around with a salt shaker, and they thought that it was their job to encapsulate me in a salt circle because I had demon scratches. And that individual finds my number, and the police tell me it's 1 year later. And I said, and you don't think that's scary? Like that 1 year later that this is all, I don't think he marked it on his calendar. But yet they will not do anything. That is unwell. Like that is unwell, but that is some of the stuff. It's just crazy. It's crazy some of the stuff you pick up.
Yeah. And you know, I don't think I trust the interdimensional beings now, because I look at the damage it's caused to people along the way. You know, and I think back to the group of the sort of 12 of us who were having all this contact, and not all of us made it out alive. Not all of us made it out as the people that we were when we went in, you know?
You'll never leave the same. Definitely not. But what happened is some of them went dark, like, or just short circuited, or their programming. What do you think happened?
One chap was my best friend all through school, and I don't know what happened to him. He just alienated himself from all of us, and I was the last person to sort of stick around. And even I, you know, in the end, even I had to say, like, I can't do this. I got to leave you to it, you know. I'm thinking of somebody else who passed away, but I don't think. Yeah, I think
The awakening process is painful. All of this stuff does not come without a price. You know, it's exciting on one end, but there's a lot you go through emotionally, physically.
Oh yeah, you know, you lose friends. You know, friends, not even friends
The only
who are
way
into this
through
stuff.
is through trauma. The only way through that gate is through trauma. That's the only way I see through it.
Yeah, you know, it's very traumatic in a lot of respects. But then again, my life was very traumatic in the lead up to that point as well. You know,
Mine too.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, lots of death. You know,
Yes, me too. Do you know that's by design?
most likely I would say so, and I
And we're
probably
not the
shouldn't.
only ones. Doc Skinner, he in the audience, and I probably shouldn't say it, but he's even talked about it. Lost 36 people in,
Mm.
I believe, a year. Poor Jay Austen, same thing. You'll ask any of us, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
It's
so for me,
crazy.
it was
I even
my
drove with a dead man. A dead man drove while is in the car at the age of 7. All of this is, I'm telling you, it's all leads up to that moment.
yeah, seeing a dead body messed me up for the first time. Like that left a lasting impression. I was only 12 years old as well. But
Oh, yeah, isn't it scarring that my son's dad died when he was 18 months. He dropped over, and then I believe 16 people within a 2 years, some 2 weeks
mhm.
apart, some like the same day. One time my grandma and my best friend died on the same day within 2 hours. I mean, all of this crazy stuff, and I got to the point I can't go into a wake. I won't even try to go into a wake. I will not go near it. I'm sorry. I apologize to whoever, but I can't do it. That's where
Mm.
I draw the line. That's where I think it just, I'll start to react to it for whatever reason. But that seems to be the way through.
Yeah, I didn't know that other people had experienced that, but it started for me about 6 years old. My grandfather, which I seem to have predicted it. Um,
Oh, you do too.
yeah, I was only a child, but we'd come up to Scotland to visit him, and we'd
Mhm.
spent a prolonged period of time. And the day we were leaving, I was a well-behaved kid, and I threw the biggest tantrum you could. I was holding onto door frames. I was kicking people in the head. I was screaming my lungs out, saying, "One more day, please, just one more night."
Oh
And they
man, you
finally
knew.
got me in the car, and we drove home. And I think by the time we got home, he'd passed away. And and then after that, it was 12 years old. Was the next one.
You sense
Um,
them too. I get within a month, I know of when somebody's gonna die. I don't know who
mm,
it's gonna be. I just know how close they feel to me.
yeah, I don't know if I can sense it so much these days. I think it was the childhood, the sort of child magic that we discussed, the preconditioned mind, able to pick up on that stuff more. But no, like you said, it was anywhere from like 10 to 16 people over the course of a 5-year period. Yeah, and then that was in the lead up to all of that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take that moment, but yeah, I'm sorry. No, it really is a thing. This really is a thing. It should make people very mad, but with that saying it being a thing, that's where I don't trust it either. Like, why are these things in certain people's lives that have these encounters? Why are they things like that?
I don't know. I was speaking to somebody else about it just today. I was telling them about the experiences, and they said, what was the trauma that you had? I'm like, I don't know what do you mean? I was like, You must have had trauma. And this was a child psychologist, so
I was too. That's funny, but he's right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the link to trauma is to be able to do those things.
You get a superpower. When I was so I did this type of therapy called dyadic developmental psychotherapy. It was Dr. Daniel Hughes. He's big over in the UK. If you look into him here, it's kind of experimental yet, but I was trained by him. And what you do is you enter an intersubjective experience with somebody. So you remove the emotion. So what you do is that you recreate, right? Somebody like you telling me something, but me giving you a totally different response, because this is a different response you probably should have had, but you didn't. And it works on all levels. Like if you had a parent who was beating their child or something, like that shouldn't have happened, all the way up to just an experience like, you and I have had. Like if you talk to somebody and it's like, because you carry such shame when, like I know initially, like when I was talking to my mom, like the extreme responses that were there. So that's what kind of creates that. So when you can take them and you can do that with them. But I'm telling you, those children, every time got through that, there was always a superpower. Always a superpower.
That's interesting. I've never really thought of it like that.
Yeah. So I bet you have some. I know what mine are. I'm discovering, and there's a lot of stuff that you can do. I'll tell you like behind the scenes, but I bet you're not aware of some of the things you're able to do. I know you're not actually like completely aware of it. No, I'm going to show you. I'm going to tell you about some tricks, and you got to try them and tell me. But this is the thing. This is the thing. That's so funny.
Yeah. So, I mean, childhood trauma, 2008, woke up, met Dave, wanted to meet aliens. 2012, that happened. And then after 2012, I just dropped out of society for about 10 years after the ET stuff, that face-to-face experience. And then
a lot to process, isn't it? A lot to process.
Yeah, there's a lot to process. And the thing at the time is that no one believed me.
My believable part was my brother who had experienced it, and he had gone through much of it. That's why it's not directly, my mom will never use that directly like at me like that, but he can validate it up to that point. But he got so freaked out that he like started and the stop, but he knows also. But that other than that, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to yawn without.
No, because they don't have. Yeah, when you don't have that validation and you're going through this and you're sitting with all of that. Like I at least had somebody I could talk to. Did you have somebody you could could be a soundboard? You can't. You're right. You can't go to a therapist and tell a therapist this. Like not necessarily. Can you do that or tell your doctor or? There's just not a safe avenue to even talk about this around.
No, there's not. And thankfully I had Dave and the group of sort of 10 to 12 people, but we got split up for some reason. Now we live on different ends of the country. But no, thankfully I had Dave who could relate, and people like other people as well who I could relate to. But I remember there was this woman I used to speak to in the grocery store. And I'd speak to her about all kinds of things, spirituality, David Icke, and, you know, nature of the universe. And we'd have these long conversations when I'm at the checkout in the grocery store, to the point where there's a queue forming behind us, and we're just talking about like waking up and stuff, and the latest conspiracy theory. And I remember when I had that encounter with the ETs, I went and told her. She was one of the first people I went to tell. And she was so excited. She was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you did it!" Like, so there was some saving graces, you know, dotted around the place. But yeah, thankfully I had Dave, and I just want to reiterate that Dave did all this on his own with no one around to talk to, piece together. And you know, you go to tell your friends what happened, and they never want to speak to you again. Like friends that you work with,
I know.
it's terrible.
Like most of mine, yeah, they'll dodge it like it's the plague, and I'm like, are you guys serious? You know, it's very odd to say the least. It definitely, I don't know, and then it becomes so awkward. I don't even want to be around it after a certain. It's like they go out of their way not to talk about this topic, you know, but it's to an obvious like degree.
Thankfully, my parents have recently only just accepted it. You know, whenever I'd say to them what happened, and they finally started to accept it. And my father's take on it is, you know, well, when I went into the psych ward recently to get a checkup, I call them checkups, and you know, they wanted to put me on medication, but I said no thanks. And my father was angry about it because he kind of said, you know, what's the matter with these people? What if I went in there saying I believed in God? They wouldn't put me on drugs. He's supposed to be an invisible man that lives in the sky.
Yeah.
You know, at least you've actually seen what you've seen. I said, yeah, I think that's the problem though, Dad. But no, so thankfully, you know, my parents have started accepting it, shall we say. But no, and you know, as the more disclosure happens as well, the more people are beginning to accept it. And that was one of the points that I argued when I was getting assessed was, you know, have you not heard of the disclosure that's happening in the US right now? No.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you should look into it then, because it's happening.
I know. They got up in court. My doctor said she thinks she's a truth seeker. Oh no, I was a freedom fighter. She thinks she's a freedom fighter, and I was like, oh my God, now that's a delusion. Okay, all right. Like, what is wrong with you people?
Yeah, and you know, you do have to say things like, oh, how many people is psychology or psychiatry cured? Oh, no one. Oh, okay, cool, perfect, great. Why would I bother spending time here?
I was obviously discredited. I tried to even tell them, like, you know, about the certain pathological, like, you know, when we're talking about these illnesses, I know them inside and out. And I'm like, I don't qualify because of this, this, and this. They acted. I was treated for ADHD since I was a child. So they used that against me. So that I had was eight along with how many other people in our generation. And I said, so he said that I had long-term psychiatric care for ADHD medication. And that's all I've been treated for ever. I was like, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy.
Thankfully, I don't take medication.
I don't either anymore. Yeah.
No, I've never taken it. I came close very recently, but I was like, no thanks.
I bought into it up until it has just been recent that I don't trust I was like that where I run up, you know, anytime, oh, I need to get an antibiotic. So I was that person up until, and then I'm now, absolutely not. No way. I see the error of the ways, but it's like they had, and I think it was like a couple of years ago that I was like, I realized all the manipulation with the drugs, how I was numbing, how I was doing certain things. And like, so I stopped. It was all together. I said, I'm doing this a different way. But that was what it was like up until that point. I was sold that this was the right way to go.
And you are, because you don't know it. People are, because I don't know any different. They tried to put me on drugs when I was 12. But for some reason, I denied them. I don't know. I didn't even know why I was denying them. I just shook my head at them and said, no, I'm not doing it.
Good for you.
I don't even know what was in me to be saying that, It's just a massive no from me.
I grew up with a grandma that carried bottles of pills around with her in her purse. Like she had like 3 purses. She was like own business, and it would be nothing as a kid. This is why I say like, oh, just you don't feel well, go grab an antibiotic out of my purse. And this is the way it was back then. There was not the laws and the rules that there were. So I think you grow up like, so that's how in my mind, like, oh yeah, let's go to the doctor. Let's go get this, and it's like until you have that awareness, I didn't realize like how bad it was. Even though I get the list of side effects, the possible side effects, but I think people almost joke and laugh at those now, like they, oh, down to the point of death. They just have to write that on there. They have to write it on there because it's true, not because it's not true. They have to write it on there because this is a possibility. Oh, to barely anyone. You'd be surprised. You'd really be surprised.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember the drug commercials on the TV in America. They go along with a commercial, and then they read off this small print and all the side effects. And this guy's talking at 100 miles an hour, and I'm trying to figure out. I can't even hear what he's saying. Talking about death or something, or don't take it, or I don't know. So yeah, in America, it's a lot crazier. The drug administration or the drug situation. Because here we've got the NHS. It's a bit different. They can't just give you any drugs. They've got a protocol on what drugs to give you in certain situations.
Do you want to know what they've done though? Is they put people on. This is the game. This is why they're doing it. They put people on, and even my doctor agrees that I saw for the 88. We talked about this, and I said, we got to wean, and this has got to stop because I said, they're putting people on these prescriptions, right? They're your chemicals in your brain, like that dopamine, everything, you stop producing that because now it's chemically dependent after a certain period of time. Okay, so now they're all of a sudden saying, oh no, they're not going to get these medications. So the people that they might have had on, let's say like a Xanax, and that is so their body then is so dependent on that. You can't just take it away, or they could go into seizures. The only benzodiazepines and the only other thing you're going to withdrawally come off of is alcohol, that you could die. And those are one of the things. So the doctor's like, now you're just given enough to maintain it, but that's their element of control because now they're trying to pull it away from people. What do you think that's going to do? They're doing it right now. And she said, I realistically know that this happened so much in your generation and that we became so resistant to certain that it's so high that then now they're trying to say no, it should only be you're going to react to it. Your body is going to react to it.
Yeah, and in America you get the dope sick in the prisons where, like you said, if they're withdrawn from benzos or alcohol, and the prison system doesn't really do anything about it. I saw a video today of someone who was dope sick in prison, trying to get just rolling around in pain.
It's so painful for them. Yes. Yes. And it doesn't even just I can go on for months like that.
Yeah, it must be awful.
That's the way that they're currently leaving, and they've been leaving people. And then it causes, you can't lose that kind of work. You can't lose that kind of, because it takes a minute. I came back, I worked my way through but as soon as I saw that, I was so glad I did, because I was like, that's a dependency. And at the moment that they say, oh no, because my doctor said that's not even a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And she said, realistically, we know what happened. But that's not necessary because they're not even so benzodiazepines never to be taken longer than 10 days. How many out there have taken these longer than, religiously for more than 10 days? You're talking a large amount of people, of this population. They're under your control.
Yeah, I know some people who had a problem with benzos. But it's that whole baseline argument, and it's the plasticity argument as well. Nature's got this mechanism. If you don't use it, you lose it. So if your body's not naturally producing those chemicals, you're going to lose the ability to do so.
You think of even though a diagnosis, I just remember my grandfather when I was in, and I didn't realize how different we all were, but you could have had 10 different people and they would have given you 10 different diagnoses.
It's just so fragmented and convoluted. It doesn't make any sense.
Nothing.
The medical system, the more you think of it as an extermination system, the more sense it makes.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's emergencies, where you're going to need surgery, and it is going to prolong your life. There is things like that.
Absolutely.
But these medications, they're doing more. It's all these antidepressants and SSRIs, and they've done so much damage to people. I think anyone on antidepressants needs to get off of them.
Yes.
Like, guess what? Life's hard. It can be a struggle sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Life can be sad. Like, guess what?
Take the steps. So lower if you have to. You don't always have to just cold turkey, but take steps to reduce that, because that's less and less control they have on you.
Mm-hmm. And things like antidepressants. I think why people do that, because emotional resilience is a neural connection. It's neurons. So and with neural pathways, anytime you're doing anything, you're literally modifying your brain to become better at it. So, emotional resilience is a neural connection. So the more you are emotionally resilient, guess what? The stronger your emotional resilience becomes.
You just have to learn how, you definitely, the emotional dysregulation is what we worked on. Like, because everybody, when you become emotionally dysregulated, it's completely, but when you learn how to get through that, pull the emotion out of it, it's life-changing.
Absolutely. And, that's something you have to do in order to have an experience with these beings, is you've got to become very intimate with your own mind and how it works. And, I'm not saying that when you feel fear, you get a pain up here where the amygdala is. That's not what happens, Like, you don't get a headache where your amygdala is because you're scared.
You have to become very aware of your thoughts.
That's right. And one of the themes in training myself how to have contact was, you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts.
Yes.
And you are what you are is, it can't be a thought,
I did something similar. Yeah. I told myself, now everybody lies because you don't remember every single second, every single minute of the day. So that's how I coped and dealt with it. And I tried to overtalk if I heard, like, I don't know, this sounds crazy, but then I would tell myself sensory wise to remember what I was seeing, hearing, feeling. Was it cold? Was it like whatever? So that was my tricks I would play.
Absolutely. And the human ego is constantly trying to captivate your attention.
Oh, I know.
It wants you to believe that you are it. And it's not there's a famous
what I learned to do with kids when I was teaching swim lessons so it wouldn't impact them and I could get them to jump. I'd be like, you do not listen to anything around you. I didn't let go of that conversation until I did. I was like, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. When I say 1, 2, 3, it's go. Okay. Not going to do anything. Listen, I go 1, 2, 3, go. And they would just go. Boom. It was the point where they stopped for that split second that you would instinctively, but not very many of them did. I got them to that point where it's like, you can't let that in there, that comes in there, that thought, it disrupts everything.
Yeah, that little voice inside your head that tells you it isn't worth the hardship.
Yeah.
No, and that plausible doubt
doesn't keeps you not living in the moment. Your most authentic and genuine is when you're in the moment, not reflecting on the past or the future.
Absolutely. Forgive me, I've had to dwell in the past for a bit, trying to
no, I'm not saying with you go back there. That's great. I went with you, like, I like join in that. Like, it's crazy. I said, when I do what I do, but as a therapist, like, that's how you enter into it, and that's the only way that you're going to be able to understand it. It's like you share in that experience. I have that ability to kind of, like, I don't know, I can't explain it, but kind of recreate. So it's very cool that you're doing. Don't stop reflecting back. I mean, kind of leads, I don't know that part of it, so it's leading us up to today. You don't feel bad about that.
I know what you mean. Like, I guess what I was saying is that I've just been in my memory for the last sort of hour or two or whatever, and I guess I've not really been living so much in the now per se, because you got to recall those memories and.
Yes.
But you're absolutely right. You've got to stay in the moment of now. It's very powerful. There is no past. There is no, future. It doesn't exist. None of them
Nothing
exist.
you can trust. Yeah, the only thing you can trust is right here, right now, is what I say. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, and that will transcend the boundaries of life and death. I don't know if you remember being alive before this.
Mhm.
I most certainly do.
I have a few of them quite well.
Yeah, I remember the last death I had. I was doing something similar to what I'm doing here. Trying to bust the system open, and we got caught. And the reptiles showed up, and the interdimensional ones, and they just killed everyone that was troublemaker, really.
You see, they were looking for you back then too, probably.
Yep. And the reptiles they moved so quickly. There was these golden spheres of light that just started growing and growing and growing, just everywhere. All these golden spheres of light, right? Until these golden spheres of light were touching the ground, and then out of these spheres of light came these 7 to 12 foot tall bipodular reptiles, and they just continued to kill everyone that was in the immediate area, messing things up. And before I could think to myself, I thought, oh shit, I need to move. And before I could think move, the thing was attacking me, and I was dying. And again, it was that black everything. Well, death is a bit different. You get like a camera taking a photo of a highway at night with all the lights, and you've got a slow shutter speed, and all the lights,
streaking past. Yeah,
it was like that. Like the scene was slipping and sliding until it didn't make sense anymore. It wasn't what I could see or could see previously, until all the colors mixed together and it became black. And then after the blackness, I just was in this body, but inside a room. And I know it was inside a room because when you put a flashlight on your thumb and it goes red.
Yes.
All around me was that sort of red tint, and I was in a liquid, and I was being jetted around by a heartbeat. And then my hippocampus stops working because it hasn't grown yet. So I don't know where memories come from, but it's I don't know if they're necessarily stored in the body.
No.
Which is interesting.
Records, yeah.
Yeah, like where is that stored? And
I have memories too. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then once I could form a sentence, one of the first things I said to my mother was, "Mom, I was chased by a crocodile." She's thinking, "I've never even seen a crocodile." And I later asked my mum 20 odd years after that, 30 years, something like that. I said, "Do you ever remember me?" I said, "Mum, do you ever remember me saying that I was chased by a crocodile?" She said, "Yeah, you wouldn't shut up about it." I said, "Ah." So do you want me to tell you what that was? He goes, "Yeah, go on then." So I explained what I just explained to you. Mm-hmm. And she obviously didn't believe it at first, but yeah, no, she definitely confirmed that I wouldn't shut up about it because clearly still traumatized by it. And then I grow up and I hear that David Icke is a thing and he goes on about reptiles and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean when he went on with his velour thing in the beginning when everybody, or after he had awoke? Or you mean about the reptilians?
I think when I was probably about 3 years old when he went onto the Wogan show in his tracksuit.
Yeah. You know what? And back then, but when he explains it, I get it. I'm like, I can't, you get that process, but he's not been the only I've seen. There's been a couple other people that I've known kind of on I guess, a more discreet level. But yeah, isn't that? But he does. It seems like he knows what's going on over there.
Oh yeah,
is that true?
I would say so. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. They all do a good job. The Ikes,
Yeah, Garth is. He's great too. I met him before.
Yeah,
But never. I would love David Icke. Oh my god, I would love like just an hour with him to pick his brain. Like, definitely.
I've met them all. I used to work for Iconic briefly.
Oh, did you? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
software engineer. But again, got in trouble during the protests and lost that job. So,
oh man. Well,
okay.
he knows what it was like. Yeah, but that still sucks. I mean, I lost mine too. If it makes you feel better, a couple of them because of all this. Yeah, it sucks.
It was the fact that I got arrested, I think, and it was a very confusing situation. So, anyway, but
Same here, yeah.
no, they they do a good job. But here I was after having those visual memories, and here there is a guy who's talking about these reptiles. I'm thinking, that's nuts, And again, it just further validated what I experienced was real. But no, I do think that we're probably being farmed for our energy here.
Yeah, what do you think's going on with the UK and such? I mean, you got the you got the Queen, you've got a lot of it. It seems like there is a lot of it that either is like derives from that area, or what do you think it is?
So most of the global control network comes from here.
Yes.
It is our monarchy that runs it. 100%. Every bad thing that's ever happened in the world, the UK is behind it covertly. I can assure you of that. I've heard all sorts of terrible things. There are witnesses now who claim that members of royalty would play the most dangerous game, human hunting. They're awful. They are truly terrible. And but this whole system of control derives from the UK and the British Empire. The blackmail, the Epstein stuff, like these are all tactics out of the British playbook. We are savages. We can be savage in Britain. Our sense of humor in Britain, it's savage. There's no other word to describe it. But our insults they're designed to cut deep as well. Like I think it's some influencer said this. Like a guy crashed his car. The British person was like, "You can't park there."
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh.
Or
of course I laugh. But I know what you're saying. Like, yeah.
There's some savage, but insults. But yeah, no, the British monarchy is the worst. They're the worst, and most other monarchies across the world seem to fear our monarchy.
Oh, definitely.
I'm friends with not friends, but connection on Facebook. Someone who was part of a royal family of a country that no longer exists anymore, and they were in exile, and they posted a picture of a letter from Charles or the British monarchy, and she jokingly said, "Oh, I'm in trouble," because they're quite most of the royal families across the world are quite frequently controlled by the British royal family. And again, it just comes down to the fact that we are better at being savages than most other people. And that doesn't please me to say that because I'm English, but but we're all polite and we've got a stiff upper lip and we've got a great sense of humor. But when it comes to it, we're probably the worst of the worst. The things we did
people who hurt. So if that's the way that you're one another, can you imagine? I mean, that's just how you project it. You'll project it out onto the world like that. So it obviously had been done to you.
Yeah, I'd say so. And it's I mean, even what the British did to the Scottish, awful, like awful. We took all their land. We used to kill them in brutal ways, like really brutal ways. And but it's all Germanic. That's where it comes from. The British royal family isn't British; they're German, for all intents and purposes. So
I was gonna say that sounds like because I'm Weber, so I'm German background. Like
Mm.
that sounds like the German, like but then my sister took a DNA test and we came back English, and we're like, no, we traced it. So I don't know. You go why she took it, but she did. So either way, but that's what I was thinking when you were saying that the entire time. But Germany, yeah, that's where the real good ideas are
And
coming from.
that's actually really interesting because that's why America was formed. British history, and if you tie up British and American history, it's very interesting because in England we had the Civil War with Oliver Cromwell, and that was for a brief moment the UK was a republic after the Civil War,
Oh,
ever so briefly. And the reason for the parliamentary forces is because they believed the king was suffering from inbred disease. He was suffering from as a result of being inbred.
oh
And
wow.
the parliamentary forces fought the Civil War and established Parliament after that. But what happened after that is Parliament were creating these laws, and the King wasn't granting it royal assent, which makes it law.
Yeah.
So, if you think back that, go back to Benjamin Franklin, or sorry, Thomas Jefferson, his great grandparents are British. They're buried in a town where I used to live,
Oh,
and
wow.
that's British history is American history.
Yes, it is.
So it's very fascinating, and if you can follow it back and trace it right up to modern day, it was the Scottish Enlightenment period. There's a guy called one of the founding fathers, Locke. What's his name? Robert Locke? I don't know. Can't
For
remember. The American founding fathers, one of them. I mean, the Scottish Enlightenment period was where taxation without representation came from. That all came from Scottish
Boston
Enlightenment.
Tea Party, right?
No.
Is that what
So
you're
the
talking about?
concept of a republic was built upon during the Scottish Enlightenment period.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so a lot of those ideals came from Scotland and went to America because what you got to think was like the hillbillies, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the hillbillies? Well, the hillbillies were a Scottish fighting regiment called the Billy,
Oh.
and they were experts at warfare in the hills.
That makes sense.
Which
Yeah.
is why everything in the South in America is deep fried. Because in Scotland, they deep fry everything.
Oh yeah. Wow. I knew that's we think we're a corporation of the UK over there, like here, but that makes sense now. So you're pointing out so when they came over, why we're seeing different cultures in different places or
Mm,
oh
yeah,
wow,
exactly.
that's fascinating. That is
Yeah.
now I'm gonna have to look into this.
Oh,
Wow.
absolutely. And the Scottish people that were sent to the South in the US were the first slaves, some of the first slaves.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, the
People don't
Scottish.
say it. I said the Irish when we came here, my aunt had, and this isn't that long ago in the paper, my aunt has an article that says Irish need not apply. The Irish were,
Mm,
it's like we were there too. So I was part Irish, Scottish,
mhm.
and German. So all those come together. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why they say, America is a nation of immigrants. But it started off as an English conquest, as this is where American history picks up. You can learn it in school. And the 13 colonies were British, and they got told to, sorry, we're going to take this for ourselves. And then, you know, taxation without
What was the deal
representation.
for? What do you think the ultimate deal on this? We're giving you this land. What do we want back in return?
What do I think the deal is?
Hmm.
Um,
We'd be forever indebted.
no, you took it, which is fair enough. That's fine. Like,
No, but do you think that it really works out like that, or do you think that it would like we really want it? I always look at it like I think it's more planned out than that with the
mm,
top percent.
yeah, that's what the British do is they create these proxies, these proxy
Hmm.
nations. So they control them. And then what
Yes.
they do is they wreak havoc in that nation's name. So everyone blames that nation.
Mm.
But we're not as good as it at what we used to be anymore. Um,
Interesting.
I would say that I would say that what's happening now is that the Americans are attempting to conquer Britain. And that's not a bad thing, because you've got to think from Scottish Enlightenment period through the suppressive monarchy, went over to America, created that whole idea of freedom. And now I think that idea of freedom is coming back to regain control of the UK. That's what I think we're seeing happening.
Red Rover. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Just how Donald Trump got so vocal about the state of the UK and everything
Look at
else.
the way the monarchy, all the stuff came out about with them to further. Oh wow.
So I think that's
exactly how they play, though, too.
Yep. And I welcome the Americans to do that and to get rid of the monarchy, because they're awful. They're truly awful. You've got close
Guy Fawkes over there. Yeah, there's so much like.
I never understood what I was celebrating. Was I celebrating with Guy Fawkes? Was I celebrating that somebody tried or that somebody failed? It was never really cleared up for me, anyone at school. It's like, yay, well, we celebrating that he failed to blow up Parliament, or that he...
No, it was about the gunpowder.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, the gunpowder plot is...
Yeah, that's where the whole Anon group had facilitated from those... That was it right there, because then they went to the ego. The ego was not... It wasn't about, they operated as a cell, I think.
That's right. It was a group of them, and then they turned in Guy Fawkes right at the last minute. Yeah, but again, was that a setup on behalf of the monarchy? You don't know.
Oh yes. I see what you're saying. Have you ever seen Hunters, the series Hunters on Amazon?
No. I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, I won't try and record, but it's not everybody is who you think they are. And that's what I mean about infiltrating, like at times, because I was in a group, right? And who we thought was literally one of us lived, operated, whatever, but actually was going back and taking that and giving it to the opposite people, but lived as though they were one of us. That was how far they had to kind of infiltrate it. So when you do that, it kind of, they're the ones that, so you might think that person even leading that group. I knew somebody who was Mormon, and they said they were trying to leave the Mormon church. So what do? They went to a support group. So when that happened, all the intensity went ramped way up. Here they found out that the guy running the support group was taking their names. He was just there to find out who was going to leave, and they were taking their names and they were turning them in.
Yeah, they do that in Scientology as well.
Yes. Oh, yes.
That's another big one. Yeah, I don't doubt it. But I tried to infiltrate in the other direction. So, like, you get people infiltrate protesting groups or whatever. Well, I tried to infiltrate transnational corporations. So I worked in biotech. I got to see a lot about what happened there. I got to see all kinds of things that really opened my eyes, that COVID doesn't even scratch the surface.
No, it goes so deep. Oh, I know.
Like Ebola. You know Ebola? You ever hear of that?
Yeah.
That was never contagious amongst humans until they did gain a function on it, and then it became contagious.
I don't care what anybody says. Like, you go over to this even did it for me. When you go over to the Wuhan lab in China, it's in English. It says, it's everything else is in China. What does that tell you? Like, this is all, and anybody can get a CRISPR kit. Well, they were able to at one time. That could have easily gone to somebody's basement, but it is being weaponized. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And sometime in 2007, biotech was born. And it was basically the merging of our food and our medicine.
Oh,
yeah. And so now, our customers, I work for a shipping company. It was almost like a sleeping giant. We used to offer services to DHL. That's how almost reputable it was. But you've never heard of the company name. But we used to do all kind of pharmaceutical deliveries, temperature controlled deliveries. But then what started happening is a lot of these food companies started becoming our customers. like Monsanto.
Growing food, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
They were a customer, so I managed to infiltrate the establishment in a lot of ways.
So this
And
is lab
basically,
grown food.
oh yeah, it's really bad. But that's failing now, so I wouldn't worry about the lab grown food or the meat or anything like that.
Right.
But I'd just always be trying to infiltrate these big companies before I had my awakening. I was, whether it was Warner Brothers or this company, World Courier, or whatever it was, I'd try and infiltrate to get a look on the inside to see what was actually going on.
Right.
I couldn't, I had a limited shelf life just because I was making me miserable working in these places. So I'd maybe work there at each place for about a year, a couple of years, and I'd move on to the next one. But it gave me such a tremendous insight about, and I worked for this one company. What I find is the shipping companies, all of the worst. I worked at one shipping company where all of our customers were the companies that were actively holding together this sort of conspiracy, whether it was Unilever or, through film, like Warner Brothers or Harrods or Lockheed Martin, BAE Systems. These were all customers. And they all seem to congregate at the same companies. It's like one of them figures out that this company is not going to ask any questions, and then they all flock to it.
Sounds like black budget projects.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's funny you say that. Yeah.
Oh boy, you can go into the contractors alone and you're gonna. I said to people, I said, just because they changed the name and they said MK Ultra, like they just changed the name. Okay. They don't stop the program. They didn't come out and apologize to the people. No, they changed the name so it confuses you and gets you off of their trail. That's all that happens. One merges.
So weird you mention that, because if I was to be honest, I think working at that company was part of the reason why they took me out of class. Because that company, they flew me all around the world, just delivering stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I bet.
They gave me they used to give me films like Rush Hour 3, Sex and the City. Oh, I could keep naming loads, but and they want me to deliver it. So I was kind of inside this. I didn't get too deep in it, and once I realized what was going on, I left. But yeah, I think that work that I did there was partly something to do with me being taken out of class.
Mm-hmm. And their program is, so if you could very well been walking in with your own tapes. Or do you go under hypnosis very easy?
I've never been hypnotized that I know of.
That's it. Be careful or watch out for that. I know that there's a part, it's almost alarming how quickly it happens. And I didn't realize it until I had gone, and I was like, no way. But there's other things, you just have to, you're susceptible to, or things like, so you wonder, oh, I'm taking these, like, what was this all for? Do you see can you connect the dots on it? Or do you see a picture? Because sometimes when you're taken out, or I was taken to a farm, and then my blood was tested, and there's areas that I don't quite remember either, but I think that it was all had to do with they were at what they were doing at that time and what your abilities were. So obviously you have some, and I more ways than one, I know that abilities that they're very interested, that they need to, because we're the ones that are the creators. Not everybody is here. Not everybody is here. So there's definitely something going on, more going on in that aspect. Yeah,
I ended up double crossing them. Being more hassle than what I was worth, really. And the ETs got in contact with me around this time, and they were getting me to do stuff for them to help infiltrate. I don't know. This is where it got a bit weird, because they were like, "Oh, do you want to help us bring down Hollywood?" I was like, "What do you mean, bring down Hollywood?" I was like, "Well, what you got to do is get that film that you're delivering." I had some time between flights. And they said, right, stack up all the film and go and go and sit on it and meditate. I was like, what is this going to do? As what I thought to myself. And then they said, well, you're going to imprint your energy onto the film. And then when that film has light going through it, those light particles are going to carry that energy and they're going to collide on people's eyeballs, which grow directly off their brain. I was like, I could not have possibly have thought of that. Where did that come from?
Is it the palms?
The what, sorry?
Does it come from your palms? Is that how you were the energy?
No, I stacked up the film cans and I sat on them.
Oh, they sat on them.
Yeah, and then I went into a state of meditation. I don't know if you, when you meditate, do you ever get it where your spine turns into a wave?
Yes, yes.
They said, do that on it. I was like, okay. But because I didn't know.
That's interesting. No, that's nobody has ever given me that information before. I'm trying to understand it because that's pretty like impactful, you know, like that says a lot. Yeah, I don't know, like where energy comes from or how energy, but obviously that's what they were using, right? Is your energy to destroy them. So that's like one of your superpowers. Potentially.
But where I was taking these films was I was taking them from Los Angeles to the places where they get copied for the cinemas or the movie theaters. So I had a master reel that I then imprinted this energy on, and then they went and copied that. And
wow.
After that, Hollywood started to crumble. It was the last film that New Line Cinema released before it was swallowed up by Warner Brothers, and basically Warner Brothers ended up owning everything now. And then the internet came about and Facebook came about, and now all of a sudden no one's interested in movies anymore. At least the investors weren't. No one was investing in these film companies, or everyone was investing in technology. No one was investing in Tower Records. The CD was dead overnight.
Yep.
And you know, the birth of the internet caused that ultimately, but then we had things that subsequently happened, the Me Too movement. And now all these actors are saying that, you know, there's a real child abuse problem in Hollywood. And all that's coming out now. Now, I'm not for 1 minute claiming that I'm responsible for all of that, or, you know, any of it. I'm just sort of saying what happened.
But maybe that is what your purpose is. Like, we don't realize I have electricity. I can affect electricity, and I have a whole thing that I'm able to do that's even weirder than weird. When I get really upset or emotionally struck, things fly. That like pop cans are the first things to go. They're aluminum, I guess they're lighter. I don't know, and it's so weird to me on how this even happens. I think maybe MRI that they had done. I don't know what it is, but it all comes into play with this, and it. So I know that there's things that people have. You'd be surprised at what I bet you're able to do. You don't realize what like the super pure, like they're it's a thing. It's a thing.
And you're absolutely right, because I think they do utilize people's abilities like that. And they try and keep it away from you that's what they're doing. And they try and keep it very covert. Because, you know, I'd say to people, like, what I did for a living, you know, I fly around the world delivering stuff, and they're like, how did you get that job? I've never ever heard of that job. I'm like, yeah, neither had I. Like, I don't know.
If only you could go back and see who you were delivering to, or like or you think it was put forth there by ET so you'd be able to do that? You think everything was a setup to that point?
I don't know. How I was originally told it was that I'm not from around these parts. I'm normally in different dimensions, but I came back here to incarnate and do some work, but I had to broker a deal with some reptiles in order to get a body, because my soul doesn't fit in these bodies. It doesn't resonate. It resonates too quick. So I needed a special body. So I had to broker a deal to get these bodies. And so that's how I was told it originally. And that the ETs got me out of that program. So I mean, but was it all a setup? Alluding to what you're saying, you know?
Yeah.
But I would deliver.
Do you have low blood pressure or low body temperature?
No. I'm actually, if anything, I'm warm. I bask in the sun. I love the sun.
It goes one of the two ways. Like there's a totally different reason I was asking, but yeah, it kind of not that that's necessarily like, but there are a segment I always ask, like medically wise, or because you said like your energy, you're not resonating. You're, I guess, quicker. What complications does it cause, or does it?
So if you get an interdimensional being and try and incarnate it into a human body, it will just die. It won't last very long. It probably won't even make it out of birth. It rejects you, and
what about even though there's like modifications that you think were made so it helped you, is there anything physically like it will show up as, I guess, in a human body is what I'm wondering?
Yeah, I've got no health problems.
None.
None.
Maybe it's the better. I don't really either.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd say that interdimensional beings choosing to incarnate as humans for goals or missions, we don't get sick. And if we do, it's because someone's trying to kill us, like me with the meningitis. And there's generally some kind of intervention. I don't really have a heart condition. Like I went to the doctor, but I said, oh, what's this left bundle branch? They said, oh, it's nothing to worry about. It just looks like you're having a massive heart attack all the time. I'm like, okay. So I don't need medication? They said, no, you're fine. So yeah, we have really good health, you know, but we don't even have to try. You know, I've abused and I've abused this body, if you see what I mean.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's no health problems there. So, and I think, and I was a twin as well, which passed away before birth, and I think they take that as collateral.
Yeah.
If your soul was ever rejected for some reason, they've got something else. But I don't think it's quite done. Or they took the soul to put back in my body if I were to ever act out or something like that. I'm not quite sure which direction it moves.
There are rules to this. I don't know exactly what they are, but I do know that that you operate outside of universal law to a certain degree. But but there are rules. As weird as this sounds, I know there are like some sort of deranged rules that stop them from doing some things, but I haven't been able to pinpoint exactly what those are.
Another thing I get is because I don't want to get caught up in these places, but I get instant karma.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so because if you build the karma for the next lifetime, that's what you work on undoing. But I get my instant karma straight away.
It used to be like, well, even where I'd like be able to sense things, or people would be like a month, I maybe think, about them and then I see them a month later. Now it's like instantaneously. But I'm telling you, the karma thing is like, it like shocks you before. But I feel like, I don't know, is that like a part of your soul's mission, or is that a part of the defiance? I never knew what that really was all about, but I've karma in full, and probably everybody's in the neighborhood is what I feel like.
So from how I understand it is that if you allow that karma to build like a bank account or a balance, and then imagine you've then got to spend that karma. So the way I understand it is I try and spend it in this lifetime. Otherwise you're going to get caught up in the incarnation cycles, and before you know it, you lose. Because I'm an interdimensional being, right? And I'm not in this body, but that's what I'm used to experiencing. And for some reason, stupid reason, everyone in my society warned me against it. Oh, just leave the humans alone. They'll figure it out. You figured it out. They'll figure it out.
No, don't tell me to do something. Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Well, what it was is I realized that our society, in the interdimensional society, was being held back by what humans were doing here or in these realms.
Okay.
So they said, oh, you know, don't worry about it. Just leave them to it. They'll figure it out. They'll come back home eventually. So I said, no, I'm going to go. I'm going to go be boots on the ground. And then I brokered that deal with the reptiles, and what they said to me there was, I said, I need a body. I need bodies. I need like bodies. Can you sort me out? They said, yeah, but you're going to have to work for us. I said, I said, I'll see how I feel when I get there. They go, no, you're gonna end up working for us. But I needed a body, so I said, yeah, I'll see how I feel on the night. You know, we'll wait till we get there. And I'm sort of walking off in the distance, and they're going, you're gonna do it, and I'm like, no, maybe not. But then that's where I think that whole double cross work came in with the, you know, movie companies and everything else. But I was making deliveries to like royalty, like Saudi Arabian royalty sometimes, like Al Fani's, or it's crazy. And the things they sent me abroad for were ridiculous. Like
Doesn't that make you wonder why you're really sent there? Do you think it was really for those videotapes?
I don't have any other memories other than that.
Probably. Oh yeah, probably not. But that just seems like, and then that comes into play. Like, do you think it was set there by you? Because sometimes I think we have these points of reflection, like everything you have, like, let's say if you're not on this path and haven't done this by this age, there's something that you put there so you'll stay, or something will happen to keep you like on that timeline.
Yeah, but again, there's almost like divine intervention occurs. Because if you're not on the right timeline, it'll put you on the right timeline. I don't know what
you're gonna go, no matter you like it or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've just gone through a month of that, where timelines have been reordered for me.
Isn't it horrible? Nobody's the same. You don't know who's. I mean, they are. Some people, though, it's they must jump with you, because there are some people that are still the same, or it wasn't their shift or whatever. Like, but there's some people, and I'm like, where did they come from? Like, where are these people coming? And that's when I know it happened.
So recently for me, it happened because I just had a lot of loss recently. Like I left my job, and my father was in hospital with a life-threatening illness. My uncle passed away. I broke up with my girlfriend. So just a lot of loss in the space of a month, you know?
Yeah, a lot of grief and loss. Oh my God, yeah. Sorry that all happened.
That's all right. That's just happened. So last month. What month are we in?
Oh yeah, you'll get piled on, I'm sure. To like, yeah. Why? I mean, why would stop with one? Is what I say. Like, why would I expect them to stop with one? I'm sure they piled on you.
Oh yeah. But thankfully, my father's okay. And I'm not really bothered about the rest of it. So, what can you do about your uncle passing away? You know. So that wasn't unexpected. But it definitely happened all in the same month. You go 10 years with life being easy, right? And then all of a sudden, 1 month, it tests you, you know, like you've never been tested before.
Doesn't it seem like for some people, reality changes over a period of time, but for you, it will change in just a second?
Yeah. I mean, so in 1 week, I left my job, broke up with my girlfriend, and my father had to go to hospital, and my uncle died.
Yes.
That all happened in a week.
Oh God, do I ever get that? It's crazy. As I said, and then to the death, that really shakes me. Like I remember the weekend, my grandma and my best buddy, just out of nowhere, he dropped over after he had a simple foot surgery. Boom, both in one day. I mean, then it was like I had this training, then I broke my arm. I almost severed a tendon in my wrist. I was supposed to go to Dr. Dan Hughes training, and I had to decide whether I wanted to potentially lose because they thought it was severed. Thank God it was just still hanging by a string, or go to the training, and all at one time. It just like, yeah. That's how I roll. Like this is it has to be by design. We can't all go through this like that continuously and it not be by design.
Yeah, I think that It's either a spiritual attack or something that I'm learning recently is that something called sidereal astrology actually can predict these things. We've got tropical astrology that we use in the West where people write horoscopes. They want to know if they're going to get back with their ex or whatever, and they're not very accurate because they're about 23 degrees out of sync with the real planetary alignments, because tropical astrology doesn't take into account the precession of the equinox, which is the slight wobble that happens on the Earth's axis every time it spins. So it ends up putting tropical astrology sort of 23 degrees out of sync. And a practice that's so sacred and ancient, it's probably one of the oldest sciences, is now completely wrong how we understand it in the West. And I would say that even that's an act of deception. Because if you look at sidereal astrology, it's a literal blueprint for your soul and what experiences you're going to have while you're here. And it can predict your mood, your behavior, life events. It can predict it hour to hour.
Can you change it?
Huh?
Can you change it then?
Well, this is an argument I've had recently. I claim that you can change your planets, but an astrologer that I know claims that you cannot. And
you can if you do it correctly.
That's right. That's what I was trying to get at. But sadly, someone who identifies so much with being an astrologer, they seem to think that is the be all and end all. But I am of the persuasion. Here's what's going on.
You're a creator, though. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that in the West they have unsynchronized tropical astrology, what we use in the West, to the actual planets and the planetary bodies. So now it's not accurate anymore. So when people read horoscopes, they go, "Yeah, but it's nonsense, though, isn't it? It's not really accurate." Not really accurate.
They don't have the standardized deviation, so to speak.
So I believe that tropical astrology has been created to deceive people, because if people understood the sidereal astrology, which is the accurate one, then people would be able to plan their lives out.
Hell yeah. That changes everything.
Oh, yeah. And I think that we are actually all manifesting reality. Every single last one of us is manifesting 1/8 billionth of this reality, right?
What about the non-human participants, or the people that are here, they're not the human players in this necessarily?
The NPCs, I think that everyone has a soul. That spark that's within, when you see a dead body, you realize that it doesn't move anymore. And there's whatever was in there is powering me. It's the observer of the thoughts. It's not the thoughts. That's the distinction I made earlier. And do
you think it's like an energy, like when I see, let's say, have you ever heard of energy? It doesn't matter, the residual energy, where it will continue. Like it might be going, the same people meeting at 2 every day, and they don't really notice anything around them outside of them. They're just cycling through that energy, because energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So I always think, is it holding space, if that makes sense, of that energy? Like, would that be what that type of?
Yes. So that it's the source, isn't it? It's the rule one concept, and that we're experiencing ourselves subjectively. And I think the reason why they've created the sort of inaccurate version of astrology is because they don't want people looking at the real astrology.
No, God, no.
Because if they did, then everyone would be able to plan their lives and be aware of what's coming in their life and be able to plan against it.
You're aware. Oh, yeah. It changes everything.
So to go back to your NPC question, what I think is going on is there's as an interdimensional being, we've got different sicknesses that we're aware of that we don't get sick from anymore. One of those sicknesses is called the flawed paradigms of identity, and the other sickness is called separation sickness. As interdimensional beings, we believe that we're all one, and humans believe they are not all one and they are separate, which is separation sickness. and then you've got the
Oh.
flawed, yeah,
Oh,
and
wow.
then you've got the flawed paradigms of identity, which is the identity that was created for you at birth. And because people aren't intimate with their own neurochemistry or even know how to use neuroplasticity, for example, what happens is this identity gets created for you, thus the non-player characters.
Mm.
So I do believe everyone's got a soul. I do believe everyone's alive. But, are these people having, what's the word, as an extraordinary experience as what we might be having, where we can stand face to face with interdimensional beings, go see UFOs, lead a protest around 500,000 people around London.
I know.
No, they're not.
No, no, no. Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. And that's why I think they have to identify us. That's what I think that's all about. Do you know why? Like, other more than we're disruptive, other more than maybe we can't be programmed as well. What is the end game? And like, is it that we won't to prevent us from coming together? Is it preventing? Because can you imagine if we all have our own little superpower, what we could do together?
Yes.
I mean, there might be like, just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that's absolutely true. And that's partly the reason why our group of 12 was split up after we had contact. We were literally moved to different areas of the country.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
Yeah. You're not
So you
allowed to
probably
do
got
that.
to a certain, can you ping one another? Like on
Yeah.
that's cool.
Telepathy. Yeah.
Yes,
Dave and
so
I.
you can hear. Okay, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. You don't use audible words when you do it.
I've just learned how to like lock the energy in and do that. So I was like, wow.
Yeah. It's really simple. It's really simple. You just kind of got to think about them, but really intently, and you've got to be really quick at doing it. But then
You
you've
have
got
to
to
keep your
take
emotions running cool. You have to be like, and that's what's hard for me is I spike and then it says that energy leaves. So I have to I'm learning how to, and then hold that energy and continue it instead of, dispersing of it. But yeah, does that make sense? Is that right?
Yeah,
If you have any other ways of doing this, I'm willing, but I can feel it and it changes the pitch of the ringing.
Yeah, so take your thought about someone and then put it straight down into your chest and then just let it go. And then what will happen is you'll get a response, but it won't be in English yet. And then once it gets back to the mind, you can translate it into a monologue, and then you can speak the words almost. So when
when you hear it, is it like, do you get the ringing in your ear, like where it's like you almost feel like in the beginning before you tune it?
I have had that, but not so much anymore. Like my ears are always ringing because I got tinnitus.
Oh, okay.
I was a musician, but what is that? What is it really?
No, okay, so I do too, but they said it's water from an allergy, right? So I learned, and then when you push it together, right, it's a way because they say the coolness in the palms or whatever, if you have the energy, and you push it through, and all of a sudden when I did, I could hear clear as day. They said that is the area where people are, where you're trying to communicate, maybe they're trying, and that's why you're getting it, is that ping, is that that buzzing in your ear. And sure enough, when I did it, it freaked me out where I was like, okay, this is getting weird. Like, but I was able to hear, and I was like, and it was for a short time, but they said you have to work on that to extend that. And I thought, I don't know. I don't know what to think about all this, but you should try it as well and see if you get anything from it.
I definitely get the ringing in my ears sometimes, like where the pitch shifts, goes from like, definitely that happens all the time, but not when I sort of used to telepathy. The telepathy stuff is more like,
when you hear stuff from a while away, will you sometimes pick up songs that are not really being played in your area, but where sounds that you probably shouldn't?
I mean, obviously if you're just hearing what everyone's thinking, it can really send you insane. And whilst people think that they've got privacy in their thoughts, I try and respect that. So
so you're already aware of how to do this then?
Yeah, I think once you you communicate with interdimensional beings on that level, it becomes a byproduct.
Yeah, no, you're probably way better at it than I am. I'm just learning how to get it like to where I was like, I mean, yeah. So I just kind of like up. So you're probably already there and past that.
So you remember I was saying about how, she grabbed my attention. She's saying, I'm up here. Hello, I'm up here.
Yes.
Yeah, up here. Yeah. Yeah. So I think, and then after that, it was a direct conversation like that. So.
Okay. See, I got to the point where I could just, which you heard, that's startling. Like I've only got that far. So that makes sense. But I'm trying, like, because it was so crazy. I couldn't even believe it. And then as soon as you believe it, right, then I know that I'm able. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Again, that can scare people. I had a moment with an ex-girlfriend of mine where
it freaked me out for like 2 weeks. But yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So I mean, I had a moment with an ex where I sort of said, "Yeah, I'm up here." She goes, "Is that you?" I said, like, she didn't verbalize it, and I said, "Yeah, that's me." Like in that space, she goes, "What? That I can hear. And I can see her eyes getting like scared."
I know.
And then she just says, "Is that you?" I said, "What, up there?" I said, "Yeah." Freaked her out. Like, I don't think when that was that before or after the contact? I think that was after. Yeah, that was when I really wasn't in that much of control of it, and
yeah,
I learned that I was scaring people by doing it. So I kind of worked on giving people privacy and not
So that's what happens. Some people describe that as a medium or communicating with spirits, but it's on whatever level you have that telepathic ability. Some people who didn't have it, like since I had it, but it wasn't that great. It was not as great as what you're describing. There's words or pieces of it, but either they get that or they have that shortly after during that period of contact. If they didn't before.
So I tell you what fuels it is love. And because I realize deeply that we are all one and we are just experiencing ourselves subjectively, I love everybody like myself. I love myself. So because there's that love there, and it's deep. It's a deep love. The love is what fuels the telepathy. And you kind of have to. I learned to kind of turn it off. Without having an ego as well, or being cruel or unkind to people. But yeah, no.
You have to shut your love off so that I get that now.
You gotta love everyone. Yeah, you really just need to love everyone, and you can literally see all their thoughts.
Oh, no way.
But you've really got to love everyone like you do, like a husband or a wife or a son, or like you've really got to identify that we're all one. We're experiencing ourselves subjectively, and we all love ourselves. Like we all love that oneness. And kind of once you get there, it becomes a lot easier. But if you're feeling disheartened by the world or put off, or it becomes a lot harder to connect on that level.
Yeah, no, that you're right. You're right about that. So why do you think some people harm people, or how do you show somebody like that love? I mean, I guess you just see past it. Like this is all an experience because of whatever reason we're here in our little contracts. I don't know.
Yeah, I got a lot of contracts.
I know. I could see myself negotiating these too. I'll be like, oh, you know what, Phil, I can handle this. Like, throw your worst at me. It's like the best day. No, I'll take it on. You want to, I have no, I definitely could rebuild. No problem. No problem. And I'm like, man, idiots, like, I don't know. That's how it feels though. I feel like I'm responsible for some of these things. That's definitely how it feels.
Yeah. You gotta be like, and the more you sort of get gifted with, the more power comes with the responsibility of it. Like I said, showing people UFOs will send some people loopy.
I'm wondering why. Like, do you think it's their programming, or what do you think it is actually that's doing it?
Well, it's their perception of what's possible. So one of the guys that went crazy, he was a. I'm not going to give away too much information out of respect,
No, it's all right. You don't have
even though I hate him. Don't get me started. But I don't hate him. I wouldn't surround myself
there's
with him
somebody
anymore.
I feel that way about. You don't have to even take that back. I know what you're saying. That's why I'm wondering how it is you could possibly love that person.
Well, that's the thing that's stopping me from hating him is that I say hate. It's a strong word, but it's not indifferent, right? So
No, it's a pendulum. Yeah,
love and hate is a spectrum. So,
absolutely.
but you know, he was a technologist. He knew just about how every piece of technology works, whether it was a plane, a computer, whatever. He was an engineering mind. And when you start with him, when he said, I want it to shine up or power up real bright, before he could even finish the word power, it was doing what he was asking. And he had no comprehension of how that worked. And for someone that's got such a rigid mind and knows how everything works, I think give it a little bit of time, and that's enough to send anyone loopy.
Fractured, yeah.
Whereas Dave was really, really helpful with me. He spent 5 years trying to almost make sure that didn't happen for me. By having to explain the concepts. You know, it was 5 years of spiritual, philosophical discussions about it. And I think what you need to do is you need to create that belief, like you said. And once you've got the belief, it's safe to do it. But because these people didn't have the belief, and it was me kind of acting a bit childish because I was upset about how they were making fun of me, I acted irresponsibly. I've shown.
Regardless, they still have a choice. They still had the choice.
I don't think I gave them a choice.
Will.
Yeah. Okay.
You take them up there at gunpoint. Yeah.
No. Well, we were already going to the place that we were going, and I just manifested them.
But they and all rightfully so. They told you they made fun of you for not being able to do it. Yeah, I want to prove it. You can't necessarily. Because that's, I mean, it's a part of your ability, but I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying, but I just don't feel like that would be, because they should know that, right? ET should know that they might have this response on somebody. Why are they showing up? Like, they're so smart and they're thinking this, then why are they showing up if they know if it's not maybe a part of like the programming or maybe supposed to happen? I don't know. I don't know how to see that because they are showing up, and if they're the all aware and can know all, then they should know that that's a possibility.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what I detailed before. So perhaps it was always meant to happen, but I've since taken people, another person to go and see, and that's gone significantly better.
Do you think it's to prevent you, like something that they put in play to prevent you from doing it, because then it would create that fear and that emotional swing, and that's what you have to not have in order to get there? Do you think it may be to stop you from that type of communication and linking people?
I think what happened in that instance was that I brought my reality into theirs just through proximity. So I think I misheard the question.
Did you ever think that maybe that was their play on you? Because you know what I'm saying? Like, for that to have happened, so it would stop you from continuing to do that with others. Because those significantly to have that, I've been with people and been through those experiences, but two is, it almost seems intentional.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. Yeah, I think you're probably right. But
they don't want you to use your gift. They don't want you. They want to contain those.
It's true. I've since shown somebody else, and that was gone significantly better. I find that the further away they are, the more people can handle it. And now that the person I showed most recently is on a spiritual awakening journey and is having a great time in life, So, but and now he thinks of me as some, I don't know, but
Superhero.
yeah, he used something along those lines. He's like, you can't mess with alien warlord or something. I don't know what he was calling me.
But I'm curious to what your actual, because I'm going to pull out the list, but I bet you're on there on what you're thinking. That's, I know 1000% you are. I just
Yeah.
have to look. I can't exactly remember how but yeah, I'll definitely send it to you. Can you show other people? Like, could you show me how exactly your technique?
So I'll explain. The doctor asked me how to do it, and I'll say the exact same thing. You've almost got to be going somewhere to see them, right?
Right.
And you've got to absolutely know that you're going to see them in the sky.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
But at the same time, you can't get too excited that you're going to see them. You need to. It needs to almost be like making a cup of coffee, right? So you run downstairs, you go in the cupboard, you've got your filters, right? But you've run out of coffee. It's not the end of the world, is it? You're not bothered. Like you've just run out of coffee. You need to go get more. That's it. But it's kind of got to be like that. Like if you get there and it doesn't happen, then what's the problem? And you've almost got to kind of train your mind in that back and forth.
Yes.
And now I don't even know that I'm going to see them. I can just all of a sudden like look up and just decide that I want to see them, and then there they will be. But I try not to do that anymore. I don't
It took
need
me
it.
like a good couple weeks, like to go out in the same pattern, the same time, and I would go out and talk. And it wasn't like you're right, and that's a part of creation, like in the law of attraction. You have to live as though you had it. There's a whole nother the inversion. I'm gonna throw you at the end because this is where my whole where I've gotten to and the twist, and I think we can gain control over things because there are creators. I recognize that, and that's the way you create right there.
Absolutely, I would say that's exactly right. And it's the same mechanism whether you're manifesting reality, certain outcomes, UFOs, face-to-face experiences, Bigfoot, Sasquatch. It's all the same phenomena.
Yes.
It's the same mechanisms involved, should we say? But what I would say is that.
So we're the ones that are creating what form they're actually coming in. Do you think if I was out there and I wanted, let's say Sasquatch or Bigfoot to come, and that was my connection to them, that would be what would show up? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, so like the Pleiades show the Pleiadians show up for me, the blonde hair, blue eyes, and I have blonde hair, blue eyes. So a little bit grey now, but yeah. So I think certain people are associated with certain groups, and
I woke up with that map on my leg.
Did you get a photo?
Yeah.
Did you get? Yeah.
Yeah. I can pull it up quick. Yeah, I even drew it down because I didn't know what it was at the time because it was an area where I saw a lot of craft coming out of. And then if I freeze for a second, I apologize. I'm just going to flip the camera off, but I'll go over and I'm going to pull it up for you. But yeah, so I I woke up and then I knew exactly what it was because it was in one of my crazy notebooks. And then I was like, oh my God, that's it. And then somebody had, without even me knowing it, on YouTube had told me what it was and had out of the blue. There's no way that they would know. There was no way that they would know. Let's see. And yeah, so I woke up and was walking around. My son saw it because it was shorts. It was like July 2008, I believe, or 2009, right around there. And we went to a hotel. No, excuse me. It would have been 2018. Let's see here. Google pictures. But yeah, it was crazy. And I knew exactly what it was. After I looked in there so I had to and I was like, where's the notebooks? Like, what notebooks is it in? And I found it. And sure enough, it matched up. So I have a picture of the drawing and that I drew that in December, would have been 6 months prior to it, to even seeing it, because I thought it was a star map, and then it ended up. So I have it right next to the constellation. It has like the 7 sisters. Let me see here. And I'm born on May 7th, a Taurus on 7th. So I think that's really weird. Let's see here. Yeah, cool, it only gets yeah, you can't really tell many people about this and then be like, hey, that's cool. I'm like, this is what the problem is. I'm like, you can't just go and tell, but it is. Yeah, I've said the same thing. Well, that at least like it's confirmation. Let me get pulled up here.
Absolutely. And you get drip fed these confirmations as time goes on, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's not like, it. I remember the MUFON guy saying, so has the veil been lifted? Is the veil lifted? And I said, are you serious? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't, that's when I realized right there that they don't know necessarily anything more than what you do. They have no idea anything more than what you know. Like, there was no protocol. There was none of that happened. So I'm just getting into it right now. So that's why I attributed it to. I'm like, man, they don't know what we think they do. We're just assuming, and that's not the case. That is not the case here. I'm just getting my file right now. Okay. But yeah, and then I'll let you go. I know it's getting late, but going through all this, I'm pulling them up right now. Where do you go from here? What do you think like the next step is? Because I feel like we've been sitting and you know what I mean? Like there's others that they don't want you to, that they do a lot to put time and space between. What do you think do you think that is it to keep us apart? Or what do you think identifying somebody and tormenting their life or keeping them in that traumatic time? What do you think the end game is? Like, to keep us trapped down here, not from going anywhere? Do you think do you even think it's in our comprehension to understand what any of this is all about? But it all just kind of seems like it's, from the same playbook, different play.
Yeah. I think that we're being farmed for energy from our chakra systems. And our society has been created in a way that generates that fear. Or those emotions which a certain species will feed off of. I also believe that this is a bit of an education ground, almost like a proving grounds. Almost like a safety net or training wheels on a bike. This reality, I don't think that most people are ready for an interdimensional reality and what that entails, being able to transcend space and time and dimensions. I think that until people are fully aware of that, they're going to get eaten alive in that arena. Oh wow, yeah.
Here, I'll pull it where you can see them more. There's some of them where the angle that I took it at. Let me get a better angle. So, because I have my drawing, the star map there, you can see it right here better. Where it's like, that was weird. It was weird. And then like I said, it matched up, and I was like, this is one of the weirder things. And it looked like almost like I had sat on an iron, but it's not. I mean, you could have laid that. You could see them all. It was very weird. And that was on the back of my leg.
And you drew it down previously?
Yeah, I drew it right down here. So you can see when you match these up, I wish I could put them, or here they are side by side. It looks a little bit different from the angle of it, but you can see how they match right up. Like part way here, and then
I can see. Yeah.
It's definitely. It was weird because when you turn it a certain angle, you see it kind of. It's like an optical illusion at some point, but these are all the same. It's just a different angle of it. But I even counted them, and I was like counting my leg, and I was like, oh my gosh, what in the heck is this? But that's when somebody had sent me, and it matches up to, I believe that's yeah. So that's what somebody had sent me, and a link to this, and it matched up pretty well.
That's pretty cool. That's crazy.
I know. I'm like, wow, what do you do with that? But it is great to have some confirmation, at least if you're crazy, that it comes with like some pretty extensive. I mean, what were the chances that would even I draw that and it was so it must have been that significant. So I always think they leave us clues. It's not necessarily what the clues are, but it's about, like confirmation or enough to
Validation.
Yes, validation. There you go.
They leave you breadcrumbs.
Yes. Oh, always.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that.
I say those, it's like taking one of those 1,000-piece puzzles and dumping it all out on the ground and then just giving you, and I always be like, from time to time, can you please give me a corner piece here? Because I can't, you have enough and that's exactly it.
There's only 4 apparently in a puzzle, so 4 corner pieces. But...
or an edge, like give me an edge or something I can build. Yeah, all these are becoming useless. But yeah, I mean, it really is so complex and everything. Do you think, I mean, I know that do you think that there's a spectrum too with ET? Like maybe not all of them are bad, maybe not all of them are good, or maybe within their own, I don't know if it's species or whatever you want to call it. Do you think that there's a spectrum of good, bad?
I don't think I trust any of them. And it doesn't necessarily translate to good or bad. I just think that because of the power they've got, I don't trust it. But yeah, I do think there's probably good and bad ones. I don't think the bad ones are really allowed to come in here. I think the ones that come in that we can see, or chose to be seen, I don't think that they're completely different to the Black Shadows, should we say, because the Black Shadows can't really interact with this world. They can only really interact with you and get you to do things. But
so we're the medium ground.
And I think that the ETs that I witnessed with Dave, I think that they probably got good intentions. But again, I don't trust them because they're very powerful. But all I can say is, during my experience, they never hurt me.
No. Do you think if you asked, they'd show you how to use because I think you'd probably be just as powerful in many ways. ET, you have to ask. That's James Gilliland always taught me that, but you have to ask.
Yeah. I grew up watching James Gilliland during my 5 years. Yeah.
I would love to would you come on with him if I had, because I think you guys would be fantastic with one. He phases out. He experiences things a lot like you do.
I've seen him phase out on picture.
Yeah. Oh, have you? Yeah. He's good at it.
I saw a photo the other day. I mean, I would absolutely come on with James Gilliland. The pleasure is all mine. He's the king,
Well, I know he's become a really good friend. I talk to him and text with him almost daily. So I will set it up as soon as we get off. I'm going to send this to him and have him watch it, and I'll set it up.
Great. That sounds tremendous. Yeah, I'd be more than up for that.
No, I think it's really important that you two meet for a very specific reason. But I definitely think, yes, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. If you could sort that out, that'd be a dream come true.
Yeah, no, we could do it next Sunday if you're free. I'm sure I don't think he's leaving for a conference until, so I bet he could.
Yeah, I mean, next Sunday I'm down. I've got a podcast on Thursday. But yeah, next Sunday, if they can set it up that quickly, I can be there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, sometimes I can call him the night before. Do you want to do a show? And he'll help. He doesn't care. He's really nice. He's a great person. You'll love him.
He always seems like a great person. I've never met him or spoke to him though.
And he's been exiled from, he's one of us. I mean, he's literally been exiled from the whole community, and even through he's been disinvited. They're making up horrible things about him. And so he's at a point, him and Corey Good were just on James has probably been on my show maybe like 9-10 times. And then we just, I get along with him really, really well. And he always like keeps me in the loop with everything. But yeah, he goes under attack. You better believe it. Like,
I do. Yeah, I
yeah.
absolutely do.
But I think he would be able to, he does clearing so well. And I think there's a part of you that's kind of maybe because out of that piece of that shame piece, because you took those people there, of course, a good human being is going to feel accountable to some degree for that. But I think it's a part of their bigger plan. I think he could help you with that too. But there's definitely more there. That's awesome.
Oh, that would be really great. Yeah. Thank you.
No, I definitely think like if I put my money, and it's all about, those connections that you make. And I'm like, the first they do this, like, and they put people and discredit people, and it's all a part of it. I always look, and then I think, like James said, like, oh, will this happen? Like, they seem like more credible to me. I'm going to find, it's not like I'm going to be like, not at all. This is by design. And when you can learn how to like navigate through some of that, I think you can find some of your own kind, like, the people that you can resonate with, or maybe
I think that's what I'm struggling with.
What's that?
I think that is what I'm struggling with currently. It's just resonating with the people and finding my own gift, as it were. So perhaps, yeah, that could be really insightful.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Well, that would be great. And I'm like, you would definitely have so much more. And I didn't want to cut it there, but I know I've kept you for 3.5 hours. So we'll just pick it up next Sunday. And I guess before you go, let people know where they can find you. And, what would you like to leave the people with?
I would like to say that you basically should love each other as if they were you, everyone as if they were you. I think it's the most important thing in this world right now, given all of the turmoil and chaos and hatred, is just truly love everyone, unless they give you an explicit reason not to. And take care of people wherever possible. And if you've got the money to do so, you're in the grocery store, buy the old lady's groceries without her even knowing. Like, just scan your card and away you go. Like, because this world can be awful, and everyone is struggling. And if you find yourself on a day where you're not struggling, try and just pass that goodness, kindness on to people, because it could be the difference between someone committing suicide that day, or not. And I think that it's very easy to get caught up in the sensationalized nature of this whole narrative. And, I think that if you truly want to experience these things, you've got to be responsible enough and have a good heart to do it. And it starts by taking care of everyone around you wherever possible. And you can find me on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram. I'm primarily on Facebook. I'm on Twitter or X. You can just type my name, Phil Graham, and you'll see my face come up. I think I'm wearing the same hoodie in my profile photo, so easy to spot.
Your profile picture.
Yeah, that was intentional for this reason, because easy to spot. Just Phil Graham, any of the socials, and I'll come up. So.
No, that's smart. Yeah, I get that. I liked it because I was like, if Phil can wear a sweatshirt, I can come on more casual. So there's nothing like being uncomfortable doing something. So
I was hard contemplating a suit, but I thought better not.
No, I'm all about comfort. The more comfortable, but I am all about it. I applaud you. Believe me, I applaud you. So, but yeah, I'll go and I'll get in touch with him, and then I'll be in touch with you within the hour. I know if you're late over there, if you gotta go to bed, but it'll be there by morning. I promise.
Cool. Yeah, it's 1 a.m. here. Like, yeah. Thank you so much for.
You're welcome. It's been truly an honor. I was so excited for today. So I love experiencers, and I couldn't have been more excited. So awesome. And again, thank you thank you so much. And well, yeah, we'll be seeing Phil again soon. So I'll let you get going. That was so amazing. I'm glad I know I got, when experiencers are on, I just really got wrapped up into the conversation. So I didn't mean to ignore chat. It was just, I've been waiting to talk to Phil for a long time, and I'm glad that it worked out. It's absolutely 1000%. I applaud his efforts. He has my ultimate respect. He's gone through a lot and he sacrificed a lot for truth. So that everybody knows is close to my heart. So, but anyway, tomorrow night we're going to have Pops and his crew on. There's going to be the cryptid panel, and that's going to be 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have there's some great people that are going to be on there. Keith, I know I saw Keith earlier. Lori Ladd, and then Pops, and then Bailey is her last name. Why I've just slipped out of my head because she spells it a little bit different. But we're going to update that right as soon as the show ends. All that information is going to be out to you and at your fingertips. I just wanted to thank everybody again for being here. Without you, none of this would be possible. So it really was. For me, this interview was good for the soul altogether. But thank you for taking the journey into the unknown. I'm Coley, also known as ColeyUFO, and everybody enjoy what's rest of your weekend. And like you said, really be good to one another. I mean, it's important. You don't realize sometimes the position people are in, and people who hurt, they hurt, they hurt others. So on that note,
He said, ain't lying, UFOs in the night.